sit over here and you can yell at me.
Can I just, do we have to wait till I yell at you?
No. And so.
Okay, great. Awesome. Okay.
Okay.
Hi, Alyssa. Okay. Are you ready? Okay. Oh, that's very interesting. Oh, that, yeah. So we would just have reminders, and then we'll go to. Okay. All right, everybody, welcome. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to pass around the snow pad, so please make sure that you sign in for today, just so that we know that you're here. And for anybody live streaming, make sure you talk to Dr. Schuler for any handouts that we give out today, like survival guide and stuff. Just so you, a reminder of your professors that are here. Dr. Schuler, Nico Schuler, right here. Dr. Kristen Ferris here. Dr. Ian Davidson, and I'm Darius Hale. And then missing tonight is Michael Burns, and he will be with us on the trip. So a few reminders, and then we have a video for you. So a few reminders. Currency, make sure that you're grabbing your currency. We said about $100 worth of pounds, about $100 worth of euros for that trip. You can get a little bit more, a little less, depends on how much you like to spend, how much you want to do with that. Make sure you're getting your prescriptions and medications lined up. Remember, we guys leave in 13 days, 14 days? Yeah, it's soon. Yeah, 2 weeks from yesterday. So you want to be tracking all this down. There were 6 of you that received an email from me on your application is not complete. So make sure and see me afterwards so we can make sure that everything's in your application, passport information, all that. So there were 6 of you that had that issue. There were 2 people, Madison and Noel. Is Noel here? Noah Oliver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
Need to see me.
yeah, talk to Dr. Davidson afterwards.
Madison too.
And Madison, yeah. And make sure if you have any food allergies or anything like that, you want to make sure all that's in your application because there are a couple meals they provide for us, and we want to make sure that you can happily eat them and not get sick. Now, we've got a question for you. Who's returning for summer session 1, starting on June 3rd? Great. Anybody have any issue with registration for those hours? All clear. Everybody's good for that because you can take a lot of hours in summer session 1. You can take, we're technically summer session 1, but we're before it starts, so you can take those 6 hours and then you can take more hours through summer session 1. We'll be back. You'll be back the night before summer school starts.
So no difficulty. If there are any problems, just let us know. Contact us via email. All right, and we're ready for Miriam. Now, Miriam is with our travel provider. Texas State University has a partnership with Educational Services Abroad, and they are providing the tour logistics once we're overseas. So they bought all the tickets for us, and the person who will be with us 24/7, staying with us, her name is Miriam Dulayas, I think is her name. And it's nighttime, she's in Europe now, so it's in the middle of the night. So she's created a video for you all so that you can meet her. She'll be in charge of all logistics. She's the one who is most familiar with all the places we're going to be seeing, all the European logistics once we're on the ground. So she's a great resource for us, and she'll be with us 24/7.
I'm going to be your on-site program coordinator in London and Paris. From my accent, you can tell that I'm not British and that I'm not French. However, I'm from Spain, and this is where I live. I've been in those two cities many times, and I really like them, so I'm really happy to show you around during those 2 weeks. I believe that this pre-departure meeting has a lot of important information and useful tips for a successful program. So please do not underestimate the information provided by your professors, as this is going to be really relevant in the upcoming weeks. So try to take as much as you can, and probably you want to make some notes, as this always helps. I will be with you the majority of the time until Friday, May the 31st. This is 2 days before the program ends. On this day, I will have to fly back to Spain, and there will be another coordinator who will assist you until departure day. Her name is Carolina, and she's Spanish as well, but she lives in Paris, and she speaks fluent English. I've been working shoulder to shoulder with your professors in order to design the most complete itinerary. During this program, you will have a lot of activities going on and a really busy schedule with cultural events and other cultural activities. So you can make the most of your time in London and Paris. So in order to have a successful program, I'm going to share with you some tips. First, you have to have a positive attitude. We are a very large group, and we need to work together as a team in order to make this program as smooth as possible. Second, you have to be respectful to your program mates, to the local culture, and to your professors. There is nothing and nobody who is better or worse. Everything is just different. Third, you need to be punctual, so the activities and free time of your program mates is not affected. Actually, you don't want that to yourself, do you? Fourth, always use the buddy system during the day and at night. Make it a rule. Do not ever leave somebody alone. 5, keep an eye on your belongings, including your passport, and do not ever underestimate the brilliant capability of European pickpocketers. 6, communicate your whereabouts with your professors all the time. And 7, embrace every single part of your program. Embrace the culture, the cultural visits, the shows, the local people, the food, the atmosphere, your program mates, everything. Because this is a unique experience for you. And remember, these two cultures are very different among themselves and with the US. So the key to success is to try to adapt to the local culture instead of having the local culture adapted to yourself. So with that being said, I hope that you enjoy the rest of the orientation, and I'm really looking forward to meeting you in 2 weeks from now. So have a good day and take care. See you soon. Bye.
Okay, so that's Miriam. She's super sweet, and she's going to be the one when we have check-in times, and you're going to get a long, you're going to get like a booklet. It's going to be the survival guide. We're going to hand it out in a few minutes, and it's going to have check-in times. And at those check-in times, you're going to check in with groups of 6, and you're going to travel around in groups of 6. So tonight before you leave, you will know the name of your group. Okay, so it's A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H, and you will know the name of your group before you leave. And those 6 people, that's when you check in. And if we're checking in at Covent Garden, and we're going to go see an opera, André Chenier. There's a certain 15-minute window that you find Miriam and get your ticket. Now, the first one to get up to Miriam and get their ticket gets the better seat, okay, because she hands out the better seats first. And whenever there's tickets for an event, that's the person you go to. You can choose to have each group of 6 is going to have one group leader. You can choose to have your leader go up and get those 6, or you can go up individually and get your tickets. So there's a 15-minute window. You don't want to miss that. So it's very important. Part of your COM curriculum is navigating the city. The 6 of you together will be navigating the city, but you always want to plan in advance how long it's going to take. We're going to help you with this, of course. But you want to plan how long it's going to take, how long on the subway, how long it's going to take from one place to another, and allow plenty of time to get to your next location. We have, for the performances in the evening, I think we have another, what time is Lynn zooming in?
7:45.
Okay, so we have the owner of Educational Services Abroad. She's going to talk to you a little bit about cultural expectations of being in London and France and Paris. And she's going to talk to you about those American, like European casual, and how she would like for you to dress. And it's not, they can pick out Americans a mile away. And there's nothing wrong with looking American, but the downside is you're targeted. You're targeted by pickpockets, and we'll talk a little bit more about that later. I've got a whole action plan for you guys and how to avoid that. But one of the things we're going to talk about is dress code. In the evening, it's European casual to go to these performances. You'll want to wear, Americans typically wear shorts, but we're going to wear jeans. It's going to be chilly there, actually, in London and Paris. So think of like the chilliest spring break you've ever been on. It's going to be like that, possibly rain. These jeans won't cut it. You want to dress nice. Maybe bring a sweater or a shawl or a wrap. Guys, she's going to talk about hopefully wearing collar, like polo shirts with a collar or button-down shirts with a collar during the day. You're going to be less likely to be targeted as an American if you can dress in those ways. Okay? Shirts with writing on them. Americans love shirts with writing on them, and that's another way they see us and kind of pick us out. So be thinking about that in your wardrobe as you are packing. Yeah, and she goes on to talk about no beach flip-flops, things like that. And we'll talk more about that also in the emergency action plan. No ball caps, small backpacks, and generally speaking, long color pants, polo shirts for males, and similar nice shirts and stuff for females as well. So just, you don't want to make yourself a target. And now, John? Yeah. So while we're abroad, we're going to be using 2 apps. One, ISOS, is going to be for emergencies. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Now we're going to talk about one called TripLoop. TripLoop is for 2 reasons. One is for safety and location, for checking in and attendance for all of your curriculum content, and for delivery, content delivery. So we'll be sending you information on your courses through TripLoop. And this is John. He's from TripLoop. Decided to give up his Sunday evening to come talk to us about this app. So yeah, thank you, John.
Yeah, so my name's John. I'm a product manager for TripLoop. TripLoop develops software for group travel. So with our mobile application that you all will be using in London and Paris, you will be able to access all of your events, your itinerary, your schedule, as well as your course content. You can also view your hotel information as well as access navigation to all of these places. So by a show of hands real quick, who here is planning to purchase an international cell plan while you're abroad?
Yeah, you're required to have a Hardy cell plan service so that you can access data while you're away, because that's how you're getting your course content.
I didn't mean to call anybody out on that, but and then just a show of hands here, who uses an iPhone or iOS operating system? Okay, and then Android? Okay, great. So right now, if you all can open your phones, if it's working, and go to either the App Store or Google Play and download, you can search for TripLoop. It's 2 words, trip and then loop. We will be sending out an email with all of this information that I'm about to include right now as well. But basically, when you download the application, you'll be prompted to create an account. You can use your Texas State email address with that. You can also link it to your Facebook or Google account if you wanted to. Your data is securely stored and never shared. After you create your account, it'll prompt you to scan a QR code to access your itinerary. This is that QR code. So if you are downloading right now and able to create an account in this, it's pretty quick, but able to create an account in the time that I'm speaking, you can simply scan this QR code to access your trip, and then if not, again, an email will be sent with this information. Starting this week, your itinerary will be populated in the application. And then if you wanted to, this isn't in the email right now, but if you wanted to have your flight information included, you can forward that to me. It's john@triploop.com. We'll include that in the email. But basically, again, with TripLoop, you can locate other students as well as your faculty on a map, a little bit like Find My Friends. You can also chat as a group as well as direct chat, view your itinerary as well as course content. And one of the things that's a little cool about this application specifically is that even if you don't have internet or cell service, you can still communicate and chat with each other within a specific geographical radius. So phone to phone, person to person, it's a span of 322 feet, but then every person that's using the application and in the group, it's an offline mesh network that expands. So for example, with 15 people, that's an offline capable area of a square mile. So again, safe travels to London and Paris. If you have not been able to scan in and access the app quite yet, again, an email will be sent out with this QR code, but it's pretty straightforward. Just go to Google Play or the App Store, download, create an account, and then scan this QR code for access. Starting this week, you'll be able to view all of your itinerary events, locate them on a map, as well as just kind of get accustomed to the schedule.
Great.
So does anybody have any questions?
Well, I got to the point where it says download on apps and it doesn't do anything when I click on it. I don't know, did anybody else try this?
Yes,
You downloaded it or it doesn't work?
Mine's just taking a while to download.
Yeah,
So then
it might be a
very slow
connection.
and then it will go like that.
Oh, maybe because we're inside the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again,
So we'll
just
send this
to
out
just to
via
recap, we will send this out in an email as well,
And I'll
then
post it on Resources on Tracks.
yep. And we'll include in that email my forwarding information. And again, if you would like your flight information, so that includes your schedule as well as confirmation code or record locator, we can put that in the app for you as well. So thank you.
All right, thanks. So this is going to be super important for itinerary, for us delivering PDFs to you about the places you're going, the new locations you're going to. It also has maps and everything. I think there weren't any questions on that. Code of conduct while we're overseas. That's you.
I'm going to put this back up in just a minute, but I'm going to link this for you while he's talking.
Okay.
So I'll put it back up.
Hi. You excited about going on this trip? Oh yeah, I think this is going to be really great. I've traveled a number of times with college students, so I've pretty much seen it all. And I can tell you that this is a really exciting opportunity for you, and congratulations to all of you for making this happen. This is going to be one of those really great things. Oh, am I in the wrong place?
Oh yeah, if you can stop.
This is one of those great things that you'll never regret doing. A couple things. First of all, as a general rule, as Americans, when you're traveling overseas, stay away from political discussions. If you have a MAGA hat, don't bring it. If you have a hat that says, "I hate Trump," don't bring it. As a general rule, a good rule of thumb for Americans is we don't criticize our country overseas. In the United States, say anything you want on any political topic, and I'll be the first person to tell you you should be doing that. If you've been in any of my classes, you know I expect it. But there's just a general rule of thumb outside of the United States that we defend our country no matter what anybody says. Somebody wants to complain about AOC, I'll defend that person. Somebody wants to complain about Trump, I'm going to actually defend Trump. Just a good idea to avoid political stuff. Second thing is, when you're traveling overseas, you're representing yourself, you're representing Texas State University, you're representing the state of Texas, and you're really representing all of the United States. So you want to think of yourself as being at the very best behavior. What's the best behavior I can do? And that's what you want to do. There's an issue with alcohol. You should really stay away from alcohol. Now, I mean, I'm not dumb. And I definitely think you should probably go into a pub and have a pint. A pint. Okay? Now, here's the thing. Our schedule is going to be such that we're going to be out the door pretty early every day and gone almost the whole day and into the evening. It's going to happen all the time. You're spending so much money making this happen. You really don't want to compromise your experience by having difficulty the morning after, so to speak. Okay? So stay away from excessive alcohol. I shouldn't have to tell you this, but we are from Texas. Don't bring any guns. Okay? Hey, we're an open carry state. Don't bring any guns. Big martial arts, knives, anything like that, don't bring them. Okay? Also, illegal drugs. If you, whatever you think may be legal or illegal, whatever somebody has told you is illegal, just don't risk it. If you're caught with some kind of illegal drugs, not only are we going to be pissed and bump you, but if you get arrested, there's almost nothing we can do to help you. It's just not worth it. So we're expecting you to be at the very highest. Did you see that they gave me the tough job? I get to be the bad guy here. All right, I can't even read this thing. Wait, what else am I supposed to say?
Yes, and house.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Okay. I was on tour in Berlin with a bunch of college students from Texas State and the University of Pacific. And a couple of very nice young ladies, one from Texas State, one from the University of Pacific, went out to a club one night and met some guy that they thought was really nice and really cute, and he had a lovely, charming accent, and he didn't have a place to stay. So he asked if he could just sleep on the floor in their room. And they said yes. And we found out about it the next day. And I have to tell you that we all had a big group discussion about whether or not we were going to put them on a plane and send them home. Not only is it just really, really risky behavior, but we're all in a big group. We can't afford to get tossed out of the place where we're all staying because we violated rules. So you cannot have an overnight guest. I don't care how cute he or she is, how charming that English accent is or that French accent. No, not on this trip, okay? The rough job. Anybody have any questions so far? I think I'm pretty clear about this.
So this is the one place where the 5 professors that are traveling have the authority to expel you from the course, no questions asked. Anywhere else on campus, we have to go through the Dean of Students. When we're overseas for study abroad, any one of us can expel you at any moment for due cause. Okay? So remember, you are on a school trip, and alcohol abuse is not accepted. You can be expelled for alcohol abuse. Now our Dean Fleming, said, you all are adults and it is legal for you to drink in London. And an experience you need to have in London, if it's up to you, if you want to do this, is to go into a pub and have a pint. One. Alcohol abuse looks like more than one.
Right.
If at any point that you're partaking of alcohol impacts your ability to participate in the program or someone else's ability to participate in the program, which means keeping anybody awake at night, coming home late. If you are caught drunk, it turns into a conduct, what I call it, it's a misconduct report. It goes to the Dean of Students.
It's in your file.
It's in your file. If you ever want to work as an RA on campus or have any job on campus, you're now ineligible to do that. Okay, so we are very serious about that. Do not get drunk. Have a drink. Do not get drunk. Alcohol abuse is not tolerated, okay? And you will get a buzz from a pint, I promise, okay? But no more than that. I mean, it's also a safety thing. You're gonna, which way do you look when you're crossing the street in London? I don't want one of those calls that someone was a little tipsy. And you know, the lost art of pickpocketing here in the U.S. is strong and alive in Europe, and you need to be aware of your materials and your belongings at all times. If you're tipsy and someone picks you off as an American who's had, is giggling and had a lot to drink, you're gonna lose your stuff. Okay, we're going to high tourist areas. You need to be alert, aware, safe. It is 2 weeks. Do not blow the 2 weeks by having a party. Wait till you get home. Celebrate when you get home. If you have a birthday, go out and have a pint at a great pub. Enjoy that. Have a great time doing that. But one, okay? So really serious about the alcohol abuse thing. And any other drugs, anything else that, like if there's anything we find, you're out. And the Study Abroad office has told us that we don't even have a choice, because it becomes illegal over there, and if anybody in part of our program representing Texas State breaks the law in another country, you cannot participate in a program at Texas State, and it becomes part of your permanent record at the university, okay? So just remember, at 3 in the morning, you're still on our watch. You're still a Texas State, you're part of a Texas State program. It's not like here where the police come, we're the police there. Okay, so just 2 weeks, be good for 2 weeks.
One thing to think about too, having done this many times with students, is, okay, you're excited about doing this, aren't you? And when you get over there, you're gonna have this incredible sense of euphoria, because you're going to be in 2 of the greatest cities ever, London and Paris. Wow, it doesn't get better than London and Paris. Even Rome is distant third. London and Paris, oh my gosh, this is great. And what I see often happen with people is that they suddenly think that everything is safe because it seems so cool to them and seems so different. One of the things you just always want to be aware of, you always want to be thinking about your surroundings, and it's also one of the issues about alcohol, is that if you end up having something to drink and you're even moderately impaired and you don't know where you are in a foreign place, you're going to think that every part of London and every part of Paris is safe. If you wouldn't do it in downtown Chicago, don't do it in London. Likewise, if you wouldn't do it in New York, don't do it in Paris. And if you just think about your surrounding, it's an important thing. Do we want to talk more about safety issues now or later?
Later, we'll go more into safety later.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about this? Yeah.
You said we can't have overnight guests. Can we be overnight guests? Do you guys have a curfew?
We are doing attendance only for curriculum-related events. Now remember, you are doing 15 hours for both classes each week. So they are big full weeks, right? And so we're doing morning, afternoon, and evening for all of these, for a function each time, so you need food. Now, we do not do curfew at night, okay? You're an adult, okay? So we're gonna treat you like an adult. But if you are not gonna be back at the dorm and we need to not worry about you, you need to let us know. Do you have, what would be the purpose?
I have a bunch of friends up there. I grew up there.
Okay, so just let us know.
You know, mostly all of this is really more about your safety.
Yeah,
more than
it's a
anything
safety
else.
issue.
All of this is really about your safety. We just want to make sure that you have a good experience. How many of you have been to London before? Okay. How many of you have been to Paris before? Okay, good. So we see you have a lot of people for whom this is kind of a new experience. And so we're really just kind of, more than anything else, we want to make sure that everybody's safe. So we kind of want to know where you are. We're not judgmental people, for the most part.
Now, if someone
I beat you to it. And
but if you're going to stay with a friend, just let us know.
yeah.
If someone meets a cute guy at the pub, you know, go watch Taken.
Yeah, have you
And
seen
then
that
talk
movie Taken?
about
Yeah, I'm serious. Have you seen the movie Taken? Yeah. If that doesn't do it, watch Hostel.
Yeah. So just
Hostel too.
not wait till the end of 2 weeks and do that back here, not on our watch.
Yeah, we just want you to be safe. We're going over there with a certain number of students. We want to come home with the same number of students
Yeah.
at the same time. Anybody got any other questions?
So at 7:45, the owner of ESA, our travel provider, is Skyping in. So to get us to that point, we've got something really awesome for you guys. We've worked really hard on it, and it's our survival guide. We have a lot of functions. We're starting early in the morning, going late at night. You're going to be exhausted, and it's a lot to keep track of because we aren't doing the same activities every day. We aren't meeting in the same locations. There are some days when your groups are all going to different locations during the day. So we've tried to map this out for you all through a survival guide. So this is what we want you to keep with you. Okay? I think it has little maps in it, and we also have maps online. Remember your external battery as well, right? That you bring that battery so that if you have a problem with your iPhone and your iPhone battery saying that you have that external battery as well. And we're going to pass these out. So this is our amazing race. Thank you.
They're still going to have a digital one of these too, right?
Yeah, it's on tracks.
Okay. So they should download it.
We have some more of them.
None for y'all.
We'll share.
If you look in the middle, and if you have like your monopolar and you can see that tiny print, it shows check-in times at certain locations. We have a lot of activities. For those of you who can't read small print, we've got day-to-day. In London, we have breakfast early in the morning. Anything that has a double star next to it means check-ins. And that's check-in via TripLoop. Okay? That's how we're going to know you're on the continent, you're ready to go, checking in with us. So you're going to check in via TripLoop. Each one of those double stars is important. And that's how we also gauge your attendance for all of your courses as well. And I told you in Paris we have breakfast and dinner. Did I tell you guys that? Yeah. So a little bit of money savings there. Breakfast and dinner. And we rearranged the schedule so that we can go back to the hostel, get dinner, and then go out at night. The last day is going to be magical. We have our farewell dinner and awards banquet in the evening. And then after that, we're going to the Eiffel Tower in the evening. 10 o'clock tickets to the Eiffel Tower on our last night there. It'll be very wonderful. Yeah. And so here's a question. Do you have to do dinner at the hostel? No. If you have unlimited funds and you want to go have an expensive dinner in Paris, of course, go do that. But you'll want you'll want to budget your money. Ian, do you want to talk about budgeting money?
Now?
Yes.
Okay.
We've got 5 minutes.
Okay, well, let me give you an example. Everybody look at Thursday, May 30th. Okay, I'm back in the night. I can't, it's dark here. Everybody look at Thursday, May.
Your spotlight.
Everybody see Thursday, May 30th? Okay, so we're gonna go to Sacré-Cœur and Luxembourg Gardens, etc. at 1 o'clock. And you see it's got the asterisk there, so everybody has to be there. But then the next thing we have is actually at 10 after 8. Okay, the Luxembourg Gardens are on one side of Paris. They're on the north side of the river, and where we're staying is on the south side of the river. So you can come back and have the free dinner, because we're going to have a Metro pass, so you can do it. But if you actually wanted to not do that, and you wanted to stay out, it'll give you some extra time because you're not doing the transportation. You can actually do this. One thing to think about with money. Okay, we're used to thinking in dollars, and when we think in dollars, we think when you go buy something and it says $3, we're thinking $3. Well, if it says 3 next to it and it's pounds, it's not $3. How much is it?
$4.
It's about $4. How about if it's 3 euros? It's about $3.50, $3.70, something like that. So one of the things that you probably want to do is you want to think about, if I have this number of days, what you want to think about is this is how much money I want to spend each day. What I do, and now I'm kind of talking about safety stuff, what I do with money is I always have 2 wallets. There's my wallet that has all of the stuff I think I'm going to need with me, and then there's the one I want to take with me when I leave the hotel. If you have all of your pounds now, I would not take all of your pounds with you every time you leave the hotel in London. Why? Unless you're planning to spend all of it on the first day. So usually what I do is I'll say, if I'm going to need 20 pounds on the first day, I might take 50 with me and leave everything back at the hotel. You're less likely to get your stuff robbed at the hotel than you are a pickpocket on the street. Also, my wallet, generally speaking, is a thick, fat wallet because it's got everything I need here in the United States with me. I do not need this on the street in London. I need identification. For you, always your student ID, because you can get into all kinds of stuff cheaper with a student ID. You need to have identification, and you need to probably have a credit card or debit card, and you need some cash. I always have a separate set of cash, a separate credit card, all back at the hotel. So if somebody does manage to nab my, what I call my burner wallet that I always carry in the front, it's a smaller wallet, my burner wallet, if somebody manages to get that from me, it's not the end of my trip because I've got a backup plan back at the hotel. Make sense? Did that answer your question?
Yeah. So when we first get there, we're going to take you, if you see at the very beginning, we're going to take you for groceries on the very first day. And I'm super cheap. I like to take advantage of my opportunities when offered to me. So I'm going to take, actually I'm gluten-free, I'm going to throw in a loaf of gluten-free bread into my suitcase. And then once I'm there, I'm going to get like peanut butter, I'm going to throw me peanut butter and jelly too. And I'm going to pack a lunch every day. And that's what I recommend for you also, that you can spend your money on that $10 pint or whatever it might be.
Wow, $10.
Yeah. So I'm fixing a lunch every day. And at lunch and dinner, I'll probably pack 2 sandwiches for London. I'll probably pack 1 sandwich for Paris for that lunchtime in the middle of the day. Because I'm super cheap and I like doing that, and I can just go have a picnic out in the park. And that way I can save my money for a more meaningful experience rather than saying, oh, here's a $5 coffee, here's a, things start adding up, right? And we've noticed in the past, when students travel the last day, Friday, they're like, oh, pull out their empty pockets and say, I can't wait till we get to the next location because I'm out of money.
Or to get to the airplane because they have free food.
On the airplane. So try to
Seen that
budget
happen.
wisely when you're traveling.
So early on when we get to both cities, you'll see in the itinerary, it's grocery shopping, helping you identify where the grocery store is. Always what I like to do is to go to the grocery store and load up on things. You need to take with you a knapsack, something that you think you can carry food in, this large enough food and outer clothing, rain shell, etc. In addition to that, you're probably going to want to have a water bottle, a reusable water bottle. It's a lot cheaper when you go to the grocery store to buy a big thing of water. Of course, you're college students, I'm probably not telling you anything you don't know already. Buy a big thing of water and then just fill up your water bottle when you go. Or when you stop at a restaurant, just fill it up at the restaurant.
The tap's fine.
The tap is fine everywhere we're going. When we go for breakfast, generally speaking at all these breakfast places, because here in the United States, a lot of hotels don't offer breakfast. In Europe, everybody gives you breakfast. And it's always a buffet. It's not, there's no menu and order off of it, it's a buffet. I tell college students, get to breakfast on time. Another reason not to drink a lot the night before because you're gonna miss breakfast. You need to get to breakfast because this is when you can really troll for calories. Load up, load up, load up. But I will also tell you that they will be very, very angry if they see you trying to take food and putting it into your knapsack. We don't want to be doing that, but you want to get there early enough that you can have that 7th piece of toast. You know, I'm serious. They have all this kind of stuff. But what we'll do is we'll go to a grocery store where you can buy fruit, where you can buy candy bars. Is it time?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's okay.
And so, but we're going to think about, as we're out and we've been planning this stuff, looking at big maps, trying to make sure that there is a place for you, some kind of a park or something where you can go and have lunch. The other thing you might want to consider is it could very well be wet where we are. So you might want to think if you're going to sit down in a park, what are you going to sit down on? It might be a good idea to have a rainproof jacket that you could sit on. You don't mind something like that. Otherwise, you know, dirty butt, I don't know, you know, pants, you know. All right.
Can you hear me? Yes. Hey, okay, you're on screen with the students.
Hello.
Can you all hear?
Yeah.
I'll turn it up a little bit. I know I busted your eardrums a moment ago, so. All right.
Okay, testing, testing.
Is that okay? Can you all hear that?
Yeah.
In the back? Okay, great.
Hi.
Hey, they say hi.
Great. Thank you so much for having us today. Did you all get to watch the video of Miriam?
Yes, we did, yes.
Great, great, yeah. So she's looking forward to meeting you all there in a couple weeks. And today, yeah.
Sorry, we had did you hear that?
I wonder if it's every 15 minutes.
All right. She's up as loud as she gets.
Oh, is it too low? Is that better?
Yeah, that's
Yes, I mean, I'm looking at the back row. Can you all hear?
Are you,
Okay,
are
they-
you running it through the sound system?
Supposedly. Yes, go ahead. You're good.
Okay, okay. I don't want to, is this right? This is good enough? You can hear me? Okay, okay, great. So yeah, I wanted to share with you all some information on the local customs, but in terms of your travel for those 2 weeks that you're going to be in Europe. So I mixed up a little bit London and Paris because there's some commonalities, and then I'll sort of separate them as needed. But the first topic that I wanted to share with you all was about attire. And maybe you guys have already touched on this, but just keep in mind that in Europe, there's more of like a European casual, which means like trousers, and jeans, and dresses, and dressier tops. And we share this with you just because we are hoping that you all are gonna stay safe and adjust to the local environment, and you can potentially blend in and win in Rome, right? So that's why just keep in mind when you're packing that it's better maybe to leave like your more sporty clothes at home and university t-shirts and even caps, because that will make you stand out more as a foreigner. So yeah, that's what I would recommend just in general with that. I also want to but yeah, I hope that gives a good sense of just a little more dressier for your daily wear, and then, but also comfortable. So you're gonna wanna be, because you're gonna be moving, you're gonna be walking so much, and so you're gonna need some really good walking shoes. I know that you've already been told that, but just make sure that you have like closed-toed shoes that are really comfortable, that you've maybe already broken in, so that you know, you're able to keep up with the group and take advantage of your time there. And then you probably maybe also want one other pair of dressier shoes for potentially going out or going to restaurants, or maybe needing it for a little bit more dressier situation. So definitely, you know, one good pair of walking shoes and potentially a dressier pair of shoes. I don't know if you've had a chance to check out the weather yet, but this week it's a little chilly in Paris. I think it's going to be warming up closer to your time, so it should be nice for you all coming from Texas. I'm not sure how warm it is there now, but for somebody from the UK, it would be really warm. But anyway, so make sure that you're bringing a jacket and kind of probably a little bit what you might consider warmer clothes. But for this season, layering is important, so you can adjust to as the temperature changes throughout the day. But you're definitely going to need a jacket. And you will also need an umbrella, because I think, you know, you guys will be, of course, on the move, rain or shine. And both of these cities potentially have, partly maybe why they have such great art offerings, art and culture offerings, because of the weather. So you guys will probably experience the more rainy weather that happens, you know, in London and in Paris. And Miriam was telling me that sometimes students think it's okay just to have like a raincoat, but actually they get drenched and then they're like getting cold or they're uncomfortable. So an umbrella is a good thing just to pack with your sack too. Yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to mention on attire. Do you guys have any more specific questions on attire maybe?
Any questions about attire? Yeah.
Yeah, so how do Europeans feel about like colored pants?
Okay. Not sure if you about colored pants.
Oh, they love colored pants.
You're in.
I agree.
Perfect. Other questions about attire? Yes.
As far as like masculine, feminine clothing, should like males dress more like traditional, that kind of male-female divide?
Lynn, could you hear that?
Yeah, I would say no. You know, they're very progressive cities, and you know, you should wear what you feel comfortable in. But as I say, it's just not. I think, yeah, it's a little dressier. So if you're a male and you feel more comfortable, whatever is, you know, that you feel more comfortable. I don't think that they have such a divide in that sense. It's more open.
Any other attire-based questions?
So less t-shirts, more shirts with collars, no exercise clothes. Europeans wear exercise clothes just for exercising. So it's just moving the direction just a little bit nicer.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay. Second thing I want to go through is moving through the city. So, you know, London and Paris are major cities, and people are on the move to get to work, to get to all the fun places to go. And so, you know, you guys are a big group, and Miriam will be reminding you of this because sometimes it's easy to forget, but please do not block the sidewalks or entrances or metro passageways. That's just being like a conscientious traveler. And it will also help you not get any bad luck. So please, you know, if there will be times that you guys are gathered in, you know, sizable groups, it'll just be important to find a space where you can gather that's not blocking. Sometimes it's like along a wall, or maybe you spread out a minute and you have to wait a little bit that's nearby and then come back together. Miriam will try to help you with that as she's with you, but keep that in mind too, you know, as you're maybe not with her. And then don't sit on the ground. That would be something like a no-no. So if you know, they are eating on the move, and I realize that maybe you're going to be bringing a picnic and that sort of thing, but it'd be better to find like a bench or across the street because they're in a hurry with the lights red. And you've really got to, there's a lot of traffic moving through these cities, and they're moving very fast. And for your safety, it's really important that you follow the traffic signs and also look to make sure that it's clear to pass. But when you're following in a group and maybe the group is, you're trying to keep up with the group, or you're maybe see a resident that's crossing a red light, that could put you in danger. And then also, I read that if you value your life, stand on the right when you step on the escalator. So people, if you want to walk up or down the escalator, you'll stick to the left. So that you'll see that moving in public transport places. And also, okay, so moving on to metro and public transportation, as we're talking about moving through the city, when you get to the tube or to the metro in Paris, when you get down in front of the train, you'll want to stay when the train arrives. As the train is arriving, obviously you'll want to give it space and safe space. And then once the train is in front of you, you'll want to stand to the one side, it's usually the left, and let people come out before you get on. And then you'll have to get on quickly. I'm not going to give you guys too much hints on this because I know it's an upcoming challenge, but that is something important to keep in mind so that you don't get maybe like pushed over like a football player or something. It's pretty serious business getting on and off.
It's a little stressful.
And then, okay, something very important in both cities is to talk quietly, which can be hard because you're excited and you're with a group of friends and that kind of thing. But I think you'll notice, especially, I think in both forms of transportation, both in London and in Paris, you'll notice it's like a dead quiet. The French particularly are quiet, and we'll touch on that later, but that is important for just respecting and also not standing out too much as a tourist or somebody that doesn't know that that's a faux pas.
Americans are known for being loud. Yeah, loud and obnoxious.
Did you hear that, Lynn?
What's that?
Darius was saying that Americans are known for being loud.
Yeah. So there are other cultures. So you might hear like Dutch singing loudly in the metro or something, but that does not mean that you can do that loudly. Maybe that's an assignment, but not in the metro. So please remember to keep your voices down, especially when you're in public places. And then something else important for your safety, and just kind of, again, is kind of a custom, is do not look people in the eye. So I know that Texans are really friendly because I'm one of them and I grew up there, and that's great. But unfortunately, we're like in a big city, and being friendly, unfortunately often means, not often, but it has taken on a reputation of you want something from me, and maybe you're going to trick me. So people are not, they're very suspicious of friendliness for that reason, and then culturally also as well, I would say. They're just, both cultures are more reserved than we are. So going back to that, on the metro, you will notice that nobody, and probably on the street too, nobody will look you directly in the eye. And it might take a minute to get used to that because I know we're used to saying hello to just strangers on the street. But that's, I would say, maybe more of like a small town or smaller town mentality over there. So in the city, let's remember that for kind of your safety. And then also metro is kind of more on the safety topic, but if somebody's soliciting something from you, you're in a big city and there's going to be all kinds of people that you're interacting with, and potentially somebody will come up to try to bother you. It's just important to ignore that and watch your belongings and that sort of thing, but just to keep in mind. That's one of kind of the golden rule, unspoken, do not look people in the eye on the metro. So yeah, that's the moving through the city and metro topics. Do you guys have any questions on that at this time?
Any questions about that so far? Okay, I think we're good.
Okay, cool. So, about meals. traditions around eating in France because it's so important. But I won't do that. I hope that you will get to experience it some, but I will share some tips with you. Which is one thing I would say, remember, just some simple things. One is to keep your voices down. You'll notice in restaurants that they tend to speak quieter. It's almost like a whispering voice. I remember that the first time in a restaurant in France, it was like, why is everybody whispering? I don't know, strange to me because I wasn't used to that. But I eventually adjusted and, well, I understand. Now, everybody can hear each other better like that. So it's out of respect. Then also, you maybe have already heard about this in France, but it's, be patient. It's not the same as in the US. Basically, what we would call bad service is actually good service over there. Because the waiter never wants you to feel rushed. Because in France, the client would be upset if they felt rushed. That is a big no-no. So that's why maybe the waiter, you have to kind of, in France, not in London so much, but you have to call the waiter over to you to ask, nicely, like, s'il vous plaît. We're going to have to go over some French because you're going to have to know some for your trip. But s'il vous plaît, and then, the waiter will come over and take your order. It might take longer. But basically, the biggest difference is that they will not bring you your check until you ask for it. You could literally stay at a table for days, and if you don't ask for the check, they don't come. They don't want you to feel rushed. So when you are ready, you'll ask for l'addition. We can practice that later, and you'll get it. In most cities, you generally don't need to tip. In London, you get to leave about 10% if you notice that there's not a service charge on your bill, which is typical for groups. And in Paris, it's usually included as well. So meaning it won't show up on your bill, but just the price includes a fair wage for the waiter. So they don't work on tips, and you don't have to tip them. You can leave a little bit if you're really happy with your meal. But in general, you don't need to tip. And they won't really want to charge separate bills per person. If you're with the French, it's important to wait for everyone to start and to say bon appetit. There's no doggy bags. Portions are usually smaller than in the US. It might be frowned upon to split a dish, and you might not be able to ask for a lot of modifications. They might get annoyed if you not do it. Something that big thing I noticed that Americans are used to is we're used to getting a big glass of water when we get to the table, and maybe just constantly having that filled, or ice. There's not going to be any ice, but a big glass of water. And actually, in both places, you should be able to get tap water. You'll have to learn in France how to ask for that, just un verre d'eau or carafe d'eau. But yeah, they'll bring you tap water, so you don't have to keep paying for a bottle of water. And then just in general in France, things are not immediate. As I was saying, you got to be patient. It's different. It's a different approach to food. It's a different approach to life in general. So I would say that use this opportunity, your interaction, which will be your meals probably with locals, to learn from how they do things there, and also try to adjust. Do you guys right now have questions on the meals, on food?
Any questions about food, meals?
Most cities are really progressive for vegans. If you're a vegan, so I think you will find you'll be you'll need to do things like ask for directions. And that would also be an opportunity to use the local manners, such as in the UK, excuse me, do you have a moment? Do you know where it is? In France, there would have to be pardon, parlez-vous anglais. You gotta practice that. You've got a 12-hour flight to practice parlez-vous anglais. But that one's really important because, well, you'll see the French are very proud of their language and they want you to speak it. So, understandably, right? Like, we want people to speak English. So, the French will appreciate and probably potentially demand that you speak a little bit of French. And so, having that symbol of when you're wanting to ask instructions, you're obviously potentially, I mean, maybe we have some French speakers in there, but potentially need them to speak English. You'll get a little bit further by asking parlez-vous anglais, not assuming that everybody speaks English. And then, you know, and also starting with bonjour. I remember learning that myself in the street, going up and saying, like, getting lost somewhere, and you know, like, where is this place? And then the person looking at me going, bonjour, bonjour, and so you might learn like that, and that's fine, but you'll know now that that's how it's typically done. Just manners, manners, manners. Really, really important in both countries. Questions on that?
Yes.
While it's highly unlikely that we'll meet somebody to the point where we have to do the kisses, is it right, left, or left, right?
I hope it won't be unlike that. I think it's, I think you might. No, I think, so I live in Spain and I think it's the same in France. It's just left, right, yeah. It's left, right. Yeah. And you just make the kissing sound. You don't.
Of course I do. It's like, it'll be really easy.
Other questions about manners? Or greetings or anything like that? Okay.
Something else that's maybe common in the U.S., or at least especially in the South, but not necessarily in France, in Paris, and in London, is small talk. So, like striking up a conversation with a stranger on public transportation, or in, you know, a line for something, is practically unheard of. So, it could be a cause for suspicion. So yeah, that you might find that. You might just keep that in mind, or while you're there. Language, you know, Brits and Americans, we may both speak English, but that doesn't mean that we always speak the same language. So, for instance, you know, like bathroom, elevator, line, we would say, and a Brit would say, who, this, and you. So, potentially, you know, you could adapt to those. It's fun, right, to learn some of the local language, in addition to some of the customs that we're talking about. And then in France, as I said before, language is so important. So I think I remember one time saying to a bus driver, this was in Swiss, the French-speaking part of Switzerland, but I don't speak French. And he was like, what? Why not? It's many interactions I've had, and now I'm fluent in French, but my spouse is French, so it's a lot of fun. Learning the languages, probably you know. But I would definitely recommend learning just a few things like bonjour, au revoir, merci, and parlez-vous anglais. Do you guys feel confident about that? Are you excited to learn some French and the local customs?
There are some heads shaking yes and some nervous looks. No practice.
Well, it's going to happen. So, and I think you'll be happy when we talk after the program. But yeah, that is important. And then, I mean, there's so many other customs and sort of traditions and so much more to learn. But these are the main things I would say, you know, that will get you preparation today, I started researching, what like faux pas for friends or like for foreigners, and that was really fun. I came upon all kinds of videos that I think were actually fun because they tell you something about the French culture through this, right, or the English culture through this, about what's important to them and who they are. So that's one simple way to get at it, and then obviously, going signing on to their local newspaper. And see what's happening in those countries, and renting as many films as you can before you go, and obviously the music, all the assignments that I'm sure are specific as well. But in addition to that, to help you have even a better experience, I would recommend that.
Thank you.
Any questions for Lynn?
Yeah.
As far as like gesturing, I know in some countries there's like a pointing or an open hand. What is the like French, UK, like the equivalent of that? Like, are you supposed to, keep your hands open or what are some faux pas?
Did you hear that? He was asking about like gesturing and how in some countries there you shouldn't point, or you shouldn't, or maybe you should have an open hand or something like that. Do you know what the?
No, I don't think so. I don't think that you would do something offensive. I think in the UK there's something about this, like being like a middle finger. I don't think you're gonna. I don't know about that well, but maybe you go like this, like peace or something, and I think that's it like this. Sorry, I feel like I'm flicking everybody off. It's along those lines. So if you want to know about the UK, I think that's one that could have been people. But if you go through gestures with friends, I can't think of any that you would have been cool with.
Thank you. That's a good question. Any other questions?
Thank you so much, Lynn. We really appreciate you taking time out to talk to us.
My pleasure. I'm so excited for you all. We'll be in touch, and bon voyage.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yay. All right, you guys go ahead and stand up. Let's stretch for a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the agenda for the rest of the evening, we're going to talk about emergency action plan, which is something that you all need to know about. And then we're going to talk about the courses and what we're going to do in those courses. So that's what's the rest of the evening. Go ahead and have a seat, and let's jump into that emergency action plan. All right, this is the uncomfortable talk that we need to have in case something yucky and horrible were to happen, okay? Hopefully nothing like that will happen while we're away, but we need to talk about what you need to do in those unknown situations, okay? This covers everything from little tiny to great big, all right? Where's the... All right. All right, there's where we're going. Okay, so the risk that we're going to be facing. We face risk every day, and the risks some are similar, some are different. The one that all your friends and family are thinking are those big, terrible ones, right? And those are very low probability, but they do have a high impact. Those are the ones that everybody gets kind of nervous about. It's not very likely, but we will discuss what happens if something like that were to happen. What's more likely, a lower impact, very high probability, is you will be exhausted or disoriented maybe, not looking the right way to cross the street. You could forget your passport, and of course that art of pickpocketing is alive and well in Europe. Okay, it's not so much here, kind of a lost art here, but there it's alive and well. So just being aware of those things. So these are more likely to happen, okay? We want to reduce or mitigate those risks that happen to you. So there are several steps that you need to take. And I'm going to read these to you because they're super important. And if you have any questions, please ask. So avoid compromise awareness. That would mean any too much alcohol. That would mean maybe being distracted, talking, laughing, being on your phone even. You are going to have a buddy with you. You do not, your buddy will be with you at all times. I think we might have, oh no, we're exactly an even number. So you have got to have your buddy with you at all times, all right? And then when you're crossing the street, cross the street with your buddy, okay? Avoid riots and protests. There are those things happening. There's protests every day outside of Parliament right now, and there's protests, the Yellow Jackets, the Yellow Vests going on in Paris. So if you see that down the street, just turn around and go a different direction. Stay away from that, all right? Yes?
If you do encounter anything like that, the last thing you want to do is to get out your phone and take a video. Because somebody who's participating in any kind of an activity like that, if they think you now have evidence of that, you've become an even bigger target. Mm-hmm. So the last thing you want to do is to try to do something like that.
Just
generally speaking, if you see anything that looks like it's on the violent side, it can be very exciting. Go the other direction.
Yeah. Yeah, stay away from that stuff. That's not for us, okay? I encourage you to use neck wallets and money belts while abroad, if possible. You can get these really tiny ones that you can go jogging with and put your phone inside. The pickpockets, pockets like this are easy. Backpacks are easy. They'll just follow you and unzip super easy. If you have stuff in your zippers, make sure you lock your zippers.
So I just bought a backpack, and it has, as you suggested,
the
zippers from behind, so they can't actually get onto the zipper unless you take off your backpack.
Yeah.
Or they have to squeeze their hand in your back, and you will notice.
Yeah.
And that backpack, it was $20, I think, and it even has a USB output, so I can put my external power battery inside my backpack and have my phone in my hand connected to my USB. That's pretty cool. That's not that expensive.
So zippers, pockets are easy. They're pros. I mean, they are professionals. And these people are not, they have less opportunities than we do, okay? And they're not going to hurt anyone. They're not going to bonk you over the head and hurt you. They just got fingers. And you may turn around with their hand in the middle of your backpack and they'll just smile at you, okay? So they just smile at you like, you caught me, so what? And then walk the other way, maybe continue picking whatever out of your backpack. So
including kids.
It's children too. The children are trained to do this.
They come up and put their hands in your pocket and take something out of your pocket.
Or people bumping. I'll show you. I've got a little video and I'll show you some of the stuff that happens. So if neck wallets and money belts work really well for your credit cards, your passport is going to be in your hostel, locked in your suitcase. Okay? Now you're also going to have multiple copies of your passport. You're going to have a digital copy that you've emailed to yourself and that you've emailed to your parents. You're also going to have a paper copy that is not inside of your regular passport. They're two separate places. That paper copy of your passport and your student ID are going to travel with you all day long. Okay? So those are going to be with you during the day. Has everybody got that? Yeah.
The paper copies only need to be like that one page with the information on it, yeah?
That's exactly right. So it's the one with your picture, the page with your picture on it. So that's going to come with you along with your student ID. There are some places where they're going to ask you for your student ID, okay? Your regular passport, super valuable. If you lose that passport to a pickpocket, you and I are going to be stuck at the embassy trying to explain who you are, as you will have the credentials of a stray cat, and I've got to talk them into letting you go back home. Okay, so do not lose your passport. Lock that in your suitcase at the hostel. And make sure you have that digital version as well. That'll be important. Make sure your parents have that copy as well. Oh, goodness. Let's see. How do I tell it to me? There it is. Okay. Lock. These are zipper locks. These right here are zipper locks. And you can get easier ones too, a little easier. And I have zipper locks on my bags. You want to lock anything, or if you can, if you don't lock it, just consider it a donation to society. And if you're in crowded areas, go ahead and wear your backpack in the front. And when you're getting on the tube or the metro, put your backpack on the front. If you are having that backpack on your back, and try to go with smaller backpacks if you can. If you have it on your back and you turn around and hit somebody, they're not going to be happy. That's considered rude subway behavior. Okay, so in crowded areas, just put it on your front. And I say most of us are going to have backpacks. You can have a messenger bag, but that's kind of going to be rough on your shoulder, purses. But if you're carrying a sandwich, a warm jacket, maybe a little blanket or a shawl, an umbrella, and some water, probably packs are going to be the easiest. And then avoid being a target. We talked about this earlier. Leave those MAGA hats or whatever at home. You don't want to be calling attention to yourself. T-shirts with the writing. We've got your T-shirts over here. These study abroad T-shirts. Wear those T-shirts here on campus. Don't wear them overseas. It just screams, come take my stuff. And make sure your technology is working, your iOS app and your TripLoop app. And we're going to get to iOS. That's a slide coming up. Make sure you have your batteries charged, right? Now, you probably won't have a lock or a safe in the hostel, but you can lock up your suitcase in the hostel. One suitcase. Everybody, yeah.
As far as doing homework abroad, are we going to need to bring a computer or?
I recommend the laptop for probably.
No, I think actually, for the most part, that will be okay.
I think for our class, I think.
Well, for all the honor students, they have to write a paper, but you do have some time.
When you get back.
When we get back, but if you want to write some while you're there, then it might be useful.
If you're not honors for the fine arts component, you mostly need like a really great phone working and be able to connect to Wi-Fi, that kind of thing. Because we're gonna talk about it, but you're gonna be mostly doing phone stuff for fine arts.
Yeah, for ours, most of the like hefty writing stuff will probably take place when you get back.
So if you want to do it while you're there,
to take advantage of some of that time, then sure.
If you have a light laptop, maybe. I have a little 11-inch one. Any other questions on that?
I'm planning to take a laptop, but I'm not going to take it with me every day. I'm going to rely on the smartphone or a small tablet.
Yeah, lock it.
But have the laptop back at the hotel in case I want to try to do some stuff that night. And you'll see when we get farther into this that there will be videos and things that you'll want to do on a smartphone that you may want to upload to your laptop.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do too. I'm going to bring a laptop. I'm going to take an iPad with me during the day, so, but it's mostly for attendance for you guys for TripLoop. But I think your phones and a battery will be pretty good during the day.
And be sure that it's difficult to charge. So make sure that you charge up every night or have some sort of an external portable charger that you can do that will allow you to charge, because you're going to be dependent on these when you're traveling around, and just imagine what's going to happen if you run out of power.
Yeah, you're going to have to do, for my class, you're going to have to do 5 videos a day with your phone. So that's why you want it to function. So
Questions, Doris?
Yeah. Oh.
This is a little off topic, but I know a lot of European countries use different.
Yeah, you need a charger that's appropriate.
Do you know which one it is that we need?
Well, what I did is I got a universal charger, so it has the different plugs, and you push which one.
Okay.
They're different. The British one is 3-prong, and the French one is 2.
So get the universal charger, and get one of those universal chargers that has the USB pluggers as well.
And very likely, well, there are 8 beds in one room, at least in London, right?
Yeah.
Or 6. So it's possible that there are not 6 outlets in the room. So if you can have one of those that has 2 or 3. Usually, if they have USB ports in them, then they have 3 USB ports. So then you can share.
I think this is the next one. How do I go back? Turn off the volume. Just to make sure. Okay. So I think we got everything on there. Zipper locks. Don't be a target. Charge battery. Buddy system. Money belts. All right. Now then. So. The pickpockets are very creative, all right? And they're gonna target you in different ways because you're gonna be like, oh my God, look at that. And which is great, we're excited. That's the way we want you to feel. But they're gonna see you do that and they're gonna come over and say, hey, I've got this survey for you to fill out. Or, oh, excuse me, is this your ring? I just found this on the ground. And this is a list I found.
Yeah.
Bracelets, they're gonna put bracelets on you. The pigeons, they're gonna put food. This is big in Milan. You're gonna see all these pigeons and they're gonna put food in your hand and then like you're gonna be swarmed with pigeons and photo op. Disturbances, sometimes they always work in teams. So they may be over on the side, someone makes a disturbance and then they bump into you and grab your stuff if you look like you have stuff on you.
You're looking that way while the other person's coming in taking
Yeah.
your wallet.
Dropping, spilling stuff, and then you're a nice person, you're gonna help them pick up, and then that's when your stuff disappears. They may ask you for directions. That doesn't mean don't help someone who's asking you for directions, not that we're gonna be the best decision or best person, but a lot of times they'll take something that, like they'll hold the map. If you're sitting in a restaurant, they'll hold the map over your phone and they'll say, do you know where this is? And they'll take your stuff. Asking for change. Okay, double charges. This one down here. If you're sitting out on a cafe, London or Paris, just ask for a menu before you order something. Even if you're ordering a Coke, ask for a menu first so that you see the charges, okay? Because occasionally someone will be double charged for something if you don't ask for a menu. Just know what the price is before you buy it. All right, that's just a safety thing, it's a little easier. Grab and go on the subway, and they work in teams. Here's one. Oh, wait, go back. I just play this. Okay, this is on the subway. Clean the blood out of your ears. That's a pretty common one. If you're sitting next to the door on subway, just be aware. And if you want to have a little loop for your phone or whatever, that's helpful too. Make sure your stuff is strapped to you. We like to lay our phones down on the table when we eat. Be careful of that. Wrap this around your leg, around your arm, something like that, because someone walking down the street might just grab it off the table. Okay? All right, let's go to the next one. I've got a whole little pocket.
It's a scary video, isn't it? Just like, hey, but that could be me. I've done this.
So watch the very beginning of this. This is pretty amazing. as a team as well. So if you're at the cash machine, just have your buddy stand there and block the view and just keep an eye out. It's not a big deal. So you just don't want to lay things down and forget about them. It's different. It's different there.
I have one. It happened to me in Paris the first time I went there, and we wanted to buy a 3-day ticket for the subway, and there was a very friendly man because we were at the end of the line, and the line was very long, and the man asked us if he can help us. And he said, "Oh, I can get it out of this machine with my card. It goes very fast." So he got us the tickets out of that machine, and we paid him the $50 for the 2 tickets. Except the tickets he gave us was a one-time trip. It was like a $2 ticket, and not the 3-day ticket. So yeah, I mean, it can be very deceiving because that man looked very nice and he wanted to help us, but he actually robbed us.
Okay, so make sure that on your passport, do not put it in your suitcase. Okay, when we're traveling, you will need it to get through security. For planes, for the Eurostar, we're riding the Channel, right, which is a really big deal. It's really cool that we're doing that. And then for the hostel check-in, when we check in at our hotel, you will need your passport. So those are the 3 places. They said everywhere else we can leave it locked in our suitcase in the hostel. Keep your digital copy of your passport, the paper copy as well. And they told me to tell you more than once, don't put it in your suitcase. Leave your passport and valuables locked in the suitcase in the hostel, and have your student ID with you. Go ahead and get a little lock for your suitcase. Remember, 1 suitcase, we've got, I think, between 8 and 6 beds per room, and it's gonna be tight in there, so don't bring 2 suitcases. All right, now we also have medical risk. Yes, you have a question?
Are you gonna talk about luggage sizes and things that are okay and not okay?
Luggage sizes?
Yeah, because like I've been looking, and on the train, apparently there's only like carry-ons, but we're there for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think where everybody's planning for each of you to have like the 50-pound bag.
Okay.
Yeah. So the 50-pound large suitcase and a backpack, basically.
But only if you can carry 50 pounds for some time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't feel that. You have to carry.
I was just concerned about because it said there was like only overhead space on the train.
Yeah, maybe kind of tight, but I mean the train's easier than riding on the airplane.
There's usually plenty overhead space. I mean, they're made for large luggages.
We can work together in teams to get your suitcase up there. All right, so the medical risks that are involved, you're going to be pooped, and we don't want you to get blisters on your feet the first day, so make sure those shoes are worn in. We're going to be looking at between 6 and 9 miles a day. So no beach flip-flops, just wear your sneakers. And if we look a little bit trashy at night because you're wearing sneakers all day long, so be it. I want your feet to work.
Yeah. Do you wear like chacos or like sandals?
If you can walk in them 6 to 9 miles a day, no problem. Yeah. Warm clothes. I looked last week at the weather. It was 37 degrees last week in London. Wear warm clothes. Bring warm clothes, dress in layers. It could get as high as 75. That's kind of the warm, I think. So between 40 and 70, so it may be really chilly. I don't want you walking around freezing to death, okay? An umbrella, bring the umbrella so you don't get soaked, and bring a good windbreaker or rain jacket. Get some good sleep if you can. You might, because the rooms are really packed, you might want an eye mask if you're into that, and earplugs if you're into that. We are in the city, okay? So if you need that to sleep, don't hesitate. Don't forget your medications. For those of you who have medications, limit your indulgences, okay? Whether that be coffee, whatever. And mind the gap. Oh, here I have. So there is kind of a wide gap when you're getting off the tube. Be careful of that. And you'll hear it over and over, mind the gap, but if you don't know what that is, you got to remember to watch out. Don't step in that area right there. Be prepared for rain and working technology. Make sure your battery's ready to go. Okay, if something does go wrong, it's ISOS. The university has paid a lot of money for this service for you, this international SOS. It's an amazing service, and you will download the app, and then once we get there in the evening, we will all do a test call to ISOS. Now, all the things that ISOS will do, it's for medical and security. Okay, I think we'll go to the next one. Okay. So you can call them first, and then you call one of us and let us know what's going on. Go ahead and download that app now. These are the phone numbers you're also going to want in your phone. Go ahead and take the time, go ahead and download this number and download the app. These are our cell phone numbers, okay? Texas State? I think I just put in mine. You can put in your Texas State address. You haven't left? You need more time? our phone number? Our new phone numbers? Yeah, we'll send this with the Trip Loop.
Or take a picture of it and try to do it later.
Yeah. I was trying to use it.
Yeah, we take a picture.
They're also in the survival guide.
Yeah. Okay, so this ISOS, here's how cool this is, that the university's paid for this free. Okay, if you are in a cab and need to translate in order to get somewhere, you can call ISOS to do that. If you have raging diarrhea and you need to talk to a doctor on the phone, you push the ISOS app. You don't even have to call, actually. You can push the app and talk to them. And they'll say, okay, do this, and there's a pharmacy right around the corner. If you are really sick and you're on your way to the hospital and they need to tell you how to get to the hospital, they will call ahead to the hospital and secure payment for you. All medical at the hospital is paid. If it's over, I think, $1,000, they call here and they call the study abroad office here, approve it, and it's approved at the hospital. You want to call them for any situation medical. Security as well. If you're walking down a dark alley with your buddy and you're like, oh crap, we're in the wrong place, and you want to figure out how to get out of there, they can't see you, but they can say, okay, where are you? Try to go in this direction, go this direction, and you stay on the phone with them, and they will walk you out of that situation. Security and medical. Do not call them about where's the laundromat. Okay, don't do that. They get those calls, but it's not the laundromat, but it's if you're lost, if you need a medical facility, if you need to talk to a doctor on the phone, if you need any kind of prescription, anything medical. Your parents can call as well. If your parents are kind of freaked out about you traveling, all they have to say is, I'm a parent, Texas State. You don't have to have that number, that policy number. All you have to do is identify yourself as a Texas State student. You're in. You're good. Okay, we provide it for you so you know, but they are very good about that. Mental health. If you are having trouble adjusting for any reason, you can call them. That's what they're there for any type of emotional issue, mental health issues as well. They are great about it. If in case of fire, major assault, something crazy that you'd call 911 here, 112 is the major emergency. Then you call ISOS. Remember, they're also, if there's a major situation, they are the ones who are going to medevac you out. They are the ones they're going to send in the National Guard to come get you. Actually, ISOS is the #1 evacuator for all military expeditions. So that's how big they are. So if the military gets in trouble, ISOS is there to help them. Privacy is whatever you have. If you want to keep it private, which is not uncommon, medical issue, they do keep it private between you and ISOS if it's a medical situation. But we recommend that you call one of the faculty, probably me first, if you're going to be at the hospital or something, because we want to be there with you to help you protect your rights at that hospital and know about it. Okay. So, but if it's raging case of diarrhea or something like that, just call them and you'll be fine. You don't have to tell us about that. But other situations where you're going to be absent, let us know. ISOS calls the university and says there's an incident. I would prefer you to call me and say, here's where I am and here's what's going on, even if you have to be vague about it, rather than the university calling me and saying, hey, there's a situation with one of your students across town. So I'd rather you call me first, okay? In case of emergency, 112. That is fire, police, EMS, all right? We are in major cities where this works well. Right? And now, this emergency action plan is something that the Study Abroad office requires us to give you. It is in this is in the survival guide, right? Yeah. So here's how this works. If it's super bad, you call 112, okay? And then you call ISOS. And you don't even have to dial the number, you can push your app, you dial ISOS, and then you let me know, okay? Let me know what's going on so I can make sure that you're safe. Depending on what happens, the study abroad office will be notified by all of this. We will have an incident report for any type of call. But then these organizations are notified depending on the severity of the incident. Here's your ISOS number. Here's your faculty numbers. This is in your survival guide. Now, in extreme emergency, remember that very first slide where everybody's worried about terrorist attacks or something like that. If something bad happens, plan A is go to the hostel. Go back to the hostel. If that is not available to you, then you go to the plan B is go to the embassy. Go to the U.S. Embassy. You're allowed to come inside. You're a U.S. citizen, and they will keep you safe and protect you. That's like worst case scenario. That's like the world is imploding, okay? So, but those are on there in case you have a serious situation. In the emergency action plan, it has things listed, and this is in TRACS as well, TRACS resources for you all. It has the hostel information, it has rental car information, airports, docks, things like that, which I'm not sure, I don't think anyone's going to take a boat if there's a serious situation, but we had to list those. So let's do the next. Has phone numbers, but I tried to, all that information that's on that side, I tried to put it all on one page for you. Now check out this bottom one down here. That's super important. We need to all be good humans, okay? If there is a situation, a compromising situation for you or any of your colleagues, please be super sensitive about social media. Please post everything fun and exciting and beautiful that you're doing on social media. That's great. But if one of your friends or colleagues on the trip has a really unfortunate situation, do not post that. Be respectful. In fact, do not post anything of someone else without their permission, okay? What we don't want to happen is for someone to be hurt or injured and have their parents find out via social media, because it needs to go through the university and they need to call the parents of that student, okay? Is everybody good with that? Nods? Yes. Everybody got that? Next. And then plan A, hostel, plan B, embassy. All right, next. Okay, trip loop, keep it active. There's some maps that you can download, like maps.me. Those work offline. So if you're down underground, you can still be looking at your map while you're on the tube. And then be figuring out where you want to go and how you're going to get wherever, so that's fine. Trip loop is 2 weeks only. You can delete it after that. Trip loop helps us find you in case you were lost. It helps us find your phone in case you were lost, okay? So we ask that you keep it on all the time. We will have it as well, all right? Miriam will have it as well. So you can also, it'll help you find us as well. ISOS said have your parents call them if your parents are nervous about this. They can tell them about security risk and anything like that. I'm not sure exactly what they tell parents, but they said call. Texas State University parent. No social media, be a good human being. No social media in compromising situations. We all agreed to that. Okay, we talked very simply about discipline. It's just for 2 weeks, right? So, no alcohol abuse. And remember, we can...
Are those mushrooms?
You will be expelled. We have the right to expel you without any permission from the dean of students. Yes?
And it goes the same for, because like I'm over 21 here, is it like the same? Okay.
Yeah, if you're abusing alcohol, no matter how old you are, it's a problem for the program. Because you're a representative of Texas State, and it's a Texas State program.
But the ages are lower. Everybody is.
Yeah, everybody's going to be legal there.
Everybody is legal to drink there.
Yeah, but even if you're 35, no alcohol abuse. That means you legal.
I'm over 31.
Wait, I'm going to go. Did we get everything on that one? Yeah, so the decision for expulsion, besides us, we already talked about that. And no illegal drugs, that is immediate expulsion.
That's you down there, right?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah. All right. Stranger danger, we talked about that. Okay, so be aware. And that's why when Lynn was talking to us about super friendly people, that's why they get nervous if you start talking to them or looking at the Europeans in the subway in London and Paris. If you look at them and start waving, like I'm kind of prone that way. I don't see people as strangers, but they're like, what is this person doing? Are they going to rob me? You know, and they get kind of worried about that because that's not normal behavior there. Okay. Yeah, this part. Just don't. Just don't. No. I don't need to explain this one, do I? I'll let Ian do it. No.
Sexual harassment.
No study abroad babies. No. Yeah, don't do that. So, no sharing rooms, no naked feet, none of that. Okay? We don't want to do any of that. Now, we talked a little bit about clothes. In the cathedrals, I couldn't wear this. Okay, I have to cover my shoulders. I can't wear shorts in the cathedrals. Okay? So make sure you have at least a shawl or something. I remember when I was in Italy and it was warm and I'd wear my Daisy Duke shorts and I wanted to go into a cathedral, I would have a wrap and I would tie it around my waist and had a t-shirt. So then I had a skirt on, yeah.
If your pants, like, they talk about a lot about, like, nice, just nice. If your pants are, like, nice but loose, is that, like...
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I probably won't wear these because the holes, you know, but, you know, the ripped jeans maybe upgrade just a little bit. But these type, cover your shoulders, no plunging necklines, tube tops. These are kind of American things. So just respectful clothing, because you won't be allowed into the cathedrals if you're wearing that kind of stuff. Baseball caps are a dead giveaway as well.
Yeah, guys too. So Dr. Schuler can't go into the cathedral.
I will not bring my. I may bring my short, but I will not.
You can go to the cathedral, just not dressed the way you are right now.
Yeah. Okay.
I will have to shave first.
All right, so one suitcase, 50 pounds on that so that you don't pay the overage. One suitcase is plenty. Don't dress like that. Try to keep your backpack small. Try to look kind of nice for the evening. If you need to bring like a little extra sweater or something for the evening, scarf, something like that. Maybe dress up just a tiny bit. Collars if possible. So, okay.
Question?
Yes, question.
You mentioned last time that white shoes were a giveaway of that we're Americans.
Sometimes it hurts. If you've got white shoes, don't.
I mean, I don't, but like, what about white pants?
Wear them. It's fine.
Great.
Yeah.
Another question.
Yes. This is completely different, but for when we get there, what will we have to get? Will we all be given a key to get in, or is it like our ID scanning, or what?
I'm not sure exactly how each hostel works, but they will, when we check in, they'll give you a way to get into your room.
Okay.
Your room can be locked, but you remember you have 6 people in your room. So it's locked,
but like everyone's gonna get their own key to get into the building, or just into the room? Or
Probably both.
Probably both.
Okay.
Probably both.
Yeah. Now, tube etiquette. These are actual signs that are in the London Tube. Yeah. Yeah, this is actually a sign, and that they put in there because they don't want you knocking people with your backpack. I mean, they use F word. It's excellent. And notice that this is actually a sign in the tube as well. Don't acknowledge fellow passengers or sustain eye contact beyond 2 seconds. Respect urban solitude.
That's inevitable.
All right. And make sure you don't walk on before the other people walk off. But these are warning signs they actually put in the metro system to tell you how you're supposed to behave. Don't be a twat. Yeah. And all of that scary business so that you can do this.
top of the Eiffel Tower.
So Big Ben is under, yeah, he's trying to do this. Big Ben is under, it has scaffolding right now, so this guy, he bought a little kit, right? And so he held it up there so that it could look like the real thing. Yeah, so have fun with your photos and have fun while you're there. All right, any questions along the vein? Does everybody know who to call if you have a situation? First is ISOS, and second is yeah. Or what if it's male-female issue, then you can call a male professor if that's a situation. But call ISOS, then call me and let me know what's going on. If something's on fire, you call 112. 112. It's all yours.
When it comes to the oyster card, is it going to be preloaded, like how much, I guess, interstate, I guess, if we preload it?
It lasts the whole week.
Okay.
It's unlimited for the week.
Just don't lose it.
Yeah, don't lose it.
I'm just coming in early, I'm staying early, so I'm
Okay. Yeah, so just go up until the week starts, and we're going to pass them out Sunday night, and then it goes the whole week. ISOS will work 14 days on either side of your trip. So that if anyone's staying longer, it will work 14 days past your trip if you're staying past the program date. So it works 14 days outside of the trip. All right, that's it for emergency action procedures.
So next we're going to talk about the coursework, and I'm going to start with the communication coursework, and then we'll transition into music or fine arts, and then while the fine arts faculty are talking about their coursework, grad students will go out in the hall and chat about your coursework.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yep.
Do we need to talk about actual arrival in London?
Yeah, arrival is spelled out in your survival guide. Let's talk about that for just a second. So, in the survival guide, you are going to arrive at Heathrow. And Miriam will be outside of Cafe Nero, waiting on check-in and arrivals at terminal number 3. She'll be holding an ESA logo sign. There will be at least 1 or 2 of us there at the airport. Then from there, we'll go to the bus. The bus will take us to the hostel. There are a few of you flying into Gatwick. For those of you flying into Gatwick,
Who's flying into Gatwick?
I'm flying in there, but like 2 days earlier.
Okay.
So do you want me to meet you at the hostel?
Yeah, you can meet us at the hostel.
Anybody flying into Gatwick on Saturday, arriving on? Nobody?
Arriving on Sunday.
Nobody arriving on Sunday to Gatwick? Everybody's going to Heathrow.
I've got all the itineraries, and I did see.
Okay.
I did see some.
So when you arrive, the first thing you're going to do is you have to go through passport control. That's why your passport has to be with you, because you won't have access to your luggage yet. So the passport has to be with you on the plane. You go through passport control, then you go get your luggage, then you go through customs. They're going to give you all the forms on the plane to fill out. You go through customs. Once you get on the other side of customs, this is where you're going to go to.
Oh, to Cafe Nero.
Cafe Nero, where you'll meet up with everybody, because not everybody's on the same plane, okay?
Yeah.
It's in Terminal 3. It's possible, Heathrow's a giant airport, that you'll come into a different terminal, so just make sure that you're in the right terminal, so that you know that you're going to Cafe Nero.
You should be at Terminal 3, because that's international.
You should be, but...
So, now, if there's a problem, you have our phone numbers. If you have watched your phone, watched Netflix the whole way over, that's not a problem because you have what else with you in your carry-on? Your charger. Right, so you can call us, you can text us, you can do TripLoop, you have multiple ways to contact us if there's any issue. We have all of your flights, hopefully, if I return those in, and we'll be watching. If your flight's delayed and it's supposed to be there before 11, you're okay, we're gonna wait on you. All right?
Somebody will.
Yeah, someone will wait on you.
Even if the bus leaves, somebody will stay behind and make sure that you get to the hospital.
We'll be watching for your flight, because a lot of you are flying on the same flight.
Yeah.
Any questions with that arriving?
What time can we get to the hostel? So that way I can get there.
It's in here, and we can talk afterwards. Yeah. Any other questions? Any other questions on travel and logistics? Because now we're going to talk about the really cool stuff with the class and the course content.
Just one comment.
Yeah.
Sometimes if customs might ask for proof that you're actually taking a class, so if, like maybe you can have email or something, or have this on you when you go through customs.
Yes. Have this in your backpack with you. This, your phone, your passport, your battery charger, all those things. Have that kind of handy when you go through passport control. All right. Sorry.
So the way that Dr. Burns and I have decided to do this for the communication side of the coursework is that the honors students who are taking the honors part of COM will do all of the assignments that I'm going to talk about plus an additional assignment. And that additional assignment is going to be, and we'll give you obviously much more specific information as we get closer, but the honors students will also be journaling each day about their experience, and it obviously would be related to the way that you're interacting with folks in London and Paris. And then you'll write a reflection paper about those journals. So like you'll come back, you'll have some time to kind of reflect on what you wrote about each day, and then you'll write a paper about that. Everyone who's taking the communication coursework will be doing the following assignments. So we have some major assignments, some that are more like participation or attendance assignments while we're there. The first participation assignment is going to be the Amazing Race small group and team communication exercise. So you all on your first full day in London, so on Monday, you all will be put in groups, and then you will be given different clues, just like on the Amazing Race. You will work together to solve those clues. They will lead you to different spots in London. You will have to navigate the tube to get to those spots in London. And then you all will be completing a worksheet, kind of documenting how you all work together, and some different communication concepts that we hope that you will be experiencing during that experience. We will give you, for all of these assignments, we'll have assignment descriptions as well as some additional reading and or mini lectures for you to watch. Our goal is to send that to you this coming week, so that way you can, if you want, get a little bit of a head start. It's obviously not required, although we will have requirements throughout the time that we're there, so the more that you do before you get there, the less while you're in London you're having to do that kind of stuff, or while you're in Paris doing that. But that will be one of the things that we do in London. One of the other things that I'm really excited about for you all is we're going to have you write a paper about the rhetoric of Winston Churchill. So one of the days we're going to the Churchill War Rooms, and you all will be kind of getting some more information about his life, and especially during his time of leadership. And then we'll talk more about what that paper will entail, that we're going to be talking about persuasion and how he used persuasion in some of his famous speeches. And so you'll write a piece about that when you get home. So that's one of those examples. You don't necessarily need your laptop there if you're not going to write your paper while you're there. The due date isn't until we get back. However, if you want to take notes on what you're observing in the war rooms, that's obviously really helpful. So how you want to do that is up to you. Whether you want to do that on a tablet, you want to bring a notepad, or whatever is up to you. However you want to do that, but you'll definitely want to keep detailed notes so that way you can write about it when you get back. Then we'll have in Paris, one of the assignments that you'll do is an ethics and communication assignment, and so we're going to be going to the Memorial de la Shoah, and so we're going to be talking about things like how, so this is a Holocaust museum, and so one of the things that we're going to be talking about is how Hitler in particular used language to vilify the Jews, and so we're going to be kind of talking about that, and you'll write a reflection about that experience as well. Interestingly, one of my friends in MassCom, so not in our program, but our cousins over in MassCom, is doing a study on dark tourism right now. And so he actually will be providing an extra credit assignment for all of you in the COM class to participate in his research about dark tourism. And so if you all are interested in that, and he has IRB approval and all of that stuff, I'll share that information with you a little bit closer to the time. We also will have, this is actually one of the only assignments that stays consistent across regardless of what kind of communication course you're taking, which is a presentation. And so one of the things that we're going to be doing is an informative presentation when you get back. You'll have the option of either doing that on campus with me in person, so we'll schedule some times where like there might be 5 or 6 of us that can meet to do that, or we can Zoom, just like you saw Lynn zooming in. You will have the option to do that as well.
If you're doing just the honors and you've already done your 1310, do you do the informative presentation?
Yes, everybody will do all of the same assignments. In the honors course, you'll do everything that everybody else is, plus you'll do the journal reflection assignment. And so I promise we'll make sure that that's all really clear to you all, like when you get your syllabus and when you get all the documents from us. So you'll do that about one place that you visit while we're abroad. So while you are visiting all these places for part of your Intro to Fine Arts coursework, you'll also be kind of deciding which of those places you might want to give a presentation about. And obviously you might not do it over the British Museum, right? There's a lot of things going on there, so you are going to narrow it down from there. And so not everybody is going to have the same exact experience while we're abroad, and so this is our opportunity for us to kind of see what you were most interested in and captivated by so that you can share that with your classmates. And of course, we'll give you more information about that. You'll also do a practice impromptu presentation while we're abroad during one of the times that we have classroom space in Paris. Fairly certain we're doing that in Paris. Let's see, I think, oh, and then one of the other participation assignments that you're gonna be doing is an observation assignment. So you all during, I think it's the first day we're in Paris, you're going to, for several hours, go out into the field and you'll be in public places just observing the way that people are interacting. So you heard Lynn talk tonight about the different ways that people are greeting each other, the different ways that people eat. And so you're going to be documenting what you observe that are the differences between the way that Americans are interacting and the way that you see the French folks interacting. And so you're going to submit those field notes to us, and then you'll do kind of like a worksheet about, and we'll kind of talk about what are the differences that we're observing in terms of those cultural communication differences. And I think that's for the most part like our major assignments and minor assignments that we're going to be doing, but like I said, we'll also have some videos that we want you to watch, or perhaps some short readings, just so that way when we're trying to apply the content, for instance, in The Amazing Race, so that way you actually know when we ask you what were the group roles that people played, you're not like, what's a group role? So that way you have the foundation for that content, because we honestly only have, what, like 4 hours total of classroom space while we're there. So we are not going, and I don't think any of us really want to be spending our time, you know, while we're abroad in a classroom. So we're going to be using that time mostly for application. So hopefully the more that we can do before we get there, or while we're there before we are experiencing those, the different exercises that we're doing, that way as long as you have that foundation, you'll be ready to go. Cool. Questions so far? Like I said, I'll be sending more information about this week.
As far as note taking, is it like frowned upon in public spaces to take notes via voice memo?
That I'm not really sure. I mean,
as long as you're not noisy about it.
Yeah, good question. I don't know. I think we'll learn about that probably while we're there.
Okay, they are modern too.
Yeah. 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 First, I definitely, if you don't feel like you want to carry around a big notepad, I mean, I think it's fine to take notes on your phone or however that's going to be most convenient for you.
This is a personal thing, but other people might be doing this. So I'm going to be traveling after my study abroad's done. So when it comes to due dates and things like that.
Yeah, so almost everything is due when we get back, although, you know, you can take advantage of the time while, you know, we have a couple of optional days and some late start days that you can take advantage of that time to work on some of those assignments. And I don't think any of it is, I mean, the biggest thing will be your presentation, that we'll just have to make sure that we schedule it at a time using Zoom that we can both, you know, I'll be back in Texas on June 11th, and I think we're going to be doing the presentations after that time. So we'll just make sure that those of you who are staying abroad and are still there, if I'm back here, that we're just coordinating our schedule so that we can do that.
So I think you'll have to make sure that you have access to a couple internet cafes.
Yeah, for sure. For us, I mean, mostly, I mean, you might want to bring your laptop then, or if you have a laptop, so that way you can work on those assignments if you're going to be there, especially because I think I can't remember, the due dates are in your survival guide. I can't remember them off the top of my head.
Is anyone else staying?
I'm staying until like after grades are due.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, you'll probably.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so the people who are staying, that's great.
Yeah.
Just make sure you have access to an internet cafe, you have your laptop, you can finish your assignments. That's the way we designed the course, so that we want you to stay in Europe and to take advantage of that. So that's why we've made it completely flexible, but you will have to do a little bit more.
Yeah. Cool. Other questions so far?
This is for the fine arts.
Okay.
Oh, cool.
All right, so I'll turn it over to fine arts faculty. I can't remember who's presenting, and then grad students, if you all want to come with me outside to talk about your coursework.
Nico, can you play something on here from there? From there?
No.
No? Okay. Can I do it from there?
Yeah. Kristen, can you get us back online?
Oh, yeah.
While she's doing that, everybody open up your survival guide to the page that has Big Ben. Everybody see where it says Big Ben? Right across from Who Can I Call in an Emergency?
Do you need YouTube? Do you need YouTube?
No, I just need the internet. I'm going to sign in iCloud. Okay, so what you're going to do, back up one page. So this is page, what number is that, 15? I can't read this.
I'm sorry.
All right, page 15. Everybody see where it says Masterworks? Masterwork works, everybody see that? Okay, so you're going to see 3 columns over here on the right-hand side. And 16, 16, 16. That's 48, okay? What you're going to do is you're going to do 45 videos. Oh, I don't have to be in the middle again? This is good. Okay. You're going to do 45 videos. And when we go to the art museums, what you're going to do, and you'll have to find a discreet way to do this, is you're going to upload a 2 or 3 minute video. 45 of them, okay? And turn the page. You're going to answer these questions that are right above Big Ben. See it? See these? See this? Right, okay? Now, you're going to answer all those questions in each video. Back up a page. You're going to do one in each category. Everybody see what the categories are? So looking at the top, the first one is Stone Age. You're going to get a Stone Age video in London and a Stone Age video in Paris. Then there's going to be a third one that's the self-study. Now here's the thing. You're going to need to set up your own YouTube channel. Everybody have a YouTube channel? See, I don't either. Does anybody have a YouTube channel? Good. She does. So you set it up through Google, right?
Through YouTube.
Through YouTube. Okay, so set up your...
I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
If you have a Gmail account, you automatically have a YouTube account, you just have to activate it.
Yeah.
So what you're going to do is you're going to do a video, and we're going to show you a sample video that Professor Hale and I did. It's 2 minutes and 50 seconds, okay? Give you an idea how easy it is to do this. You're going to take your video, you're going to upload it to your YouTube channel, and then we just need to have access to your YouTube channel, and that's how we're going to grade it. You have to do 15 of these in London. You have to do 15 in Paris. You can do all 45 of these before you leave the end of the program. And then you've done what you kind of need to do. Isn't there a final exam? Is this it?
There's final exam. It's a take-home exam.
It's a take-home exam. But you can't do all 45 videos the first day you're in London. Nice try.
If you do 5 a day, you're golden.
Yeah, so 5 a day in London, and then 5 a day in Paris, but you're still going to need to find the extra 15. And
No. 5 a day is, you're done.
You're right. See, that's why she's the boss. Okay, so.
See, if you do self-study, if you only do 15 in London and 15 in Paris, then you come home or wherever else you're going, you have to go to a museum, wherever you are located that next week after the program is over, and go to a museum and do the remaining 15, okay? Or you can do the 5 a day in London, 5 a day in Paris, and then you don't have to go to a museum at the end of that, yeah.
Do you also get the video in the museum, or can you just get like when you get back to the hostel?
In the museum. We don't want videos from the hostel. So we're going to show you how we did this, and it's pretty easy. This is why you need a buddy. Your buddy's going to help you. It's you're going to say, I can do this. Now, here's the beauty of this assignment. Your friends and family are supporting you to come on this trip. I'm making probably an educated guess saying that you didn't shell out all the money for you to be here at university and go on this trip all by your lonesome, right? So your friends and family are going to be curious about you traveling. And if you're in front of the Mona Lisa and you answer these questions about the Mona Lisa, you're going to put it on your YouTube channel, and your friends and family are going to see it. And they're going to learn and see what you're doing and what you're seeing. And it's really cool. And they're going to be like, oh my God, that was worth the money.
Okay. So
Tried it?
I'm a Mac user. I need to go to iCloud and sign in. I have no idea how to do this. There it is. Okay. And then it'll show up here at some point, right?
All right, so when we're in the lecture hall,
Wait a minute.
when we're in the lecture hall, we're going to tell you, go to this museum. This is where you're going to bag the Stone Age. Go to this museum. This is where you're going to bag the Egyptians. So we're going to give you some ideas, and it's going to be your choice. Some of them we may say, hey, architecture, you need to do this one. You need to do the Eiffel Tower.
Let me know when you
right?
can come help me.
Okay.
How do I get to my password?
Okay, so.
So for some of these assignments, you may want to look up some information. I mean, in the museum you can find information, but you may also want to look up Wikipedia or some website or some information so you can get it for the content of your video.
The right one. Oh. Yeah, I don't know why I said that. That's never happened to me. What do I do? No.
So let me use the time to say something to those who try to watch the first stream video, which is archived on the YouTube channel. Oh, you may not have even have looked it up, but the voice, the sound quality was very bad, and I learned from it. And this one is better. If you want to, I will send out an email to everybody with a link to the YouTube channel of Our Study Abroad program, and you can look up the live stream that will be archived there if you need to look up something. But don't access the first one because you will realize why. But this one will be better.
And I started already doing a list for you. So for instance, when we go to the Louvre Museum, I've already identified the top 30 sites in the Louvre for you to go see. And it'll give you the titles, it'll tell you a little bit about what period it's from, so you can check off those boxes. And it'll help you figure out, in the limited amount of time that we have for all these museums, what are the things that you may want to see, okay? So this is, we were having a meeting at my house and we said, okay, how are we going to do this? And so the way you're going to do this is you're going to have a partner, okay? And so your partner, so you see the survival guide, you see the page she's looking at, you see those questions that you're going to ask there? The page of the Big Bang, right there.
In the blue box. The blue box are the questions that you have to answer.
Okay, so you're going to answer those questions, but we figured out that for you to be reading these questions and holding up the phone like this is going to be really difficult. So what you need is a partner. And so what's going to happen is you'll be holding up the phone with something behind you, or with the phone looking at what the artist, the work that you're looking at, and your colleague is going to ask you questions. So this sample video that we have here is, she's asking me all the questions. So it's that, yeah. Cheesy video. Right on my nose, it's like, oh, no sampling, a video about this painting right here. This fits into the category of modern art. It's by the American painter Maurice Schmidt.
What's the name of the work?
You know, it's actually untitled.
And where is the city or country that it's created?
It was created in South Texas, but it's about a performance that takes place in Laredo, Texas.
Where is it currently located?
It's currently located in my house.
And the artist's nationality?
This is an American painter. He's recently deceased.
Where's the medium?
This is an oil painting.
Historical relevance?
It's historically relevant because this particular part that you can see right here, actually there it is, tells the story about a particular time in this particular musician's life.
Do you know how long it took to create this work?
I think he said that it took approximately a month.
Why is this work important?
It's important because of its historical documentation of the experience with these two particular individuals.
What are the defining characteristics of this work?
Well, what I would say the defining characteristics is, do you see how the size between these people here and this clearly, I mean, this is a cello that's not played by a giant. It's played by somebody who's the same as everybody else, but this role in this particular performance was so important that the person is displayed in an outsized way.
Does it have any historical contributions from the artist?
Not that I can think of.
What is your personal observation of this artwork?
My personal observation is that I like the fact that he's not trying to be realistic, in the sense that you can see the difference in the proportions here, and then look at all of these brass instruments here. He put those there because the brass were very loud and powerful. So this really kind of gives an impression of what he thought based on that performance.
Why did you choose this work?
Well, I'm choosing this work because it's in my house and we're doing a sample video, and I gotta turn this in because I gotta pass your class.
How does it compare to other works within the same time period?
I think it fits within the concept of what many people were doing in the tradition of artwork at the time. It's not outside of the norm. There would be many artists painting in the same way, meaning the oversized here.
Any fun facts about this
That's me. Thanks. Give me an A. All right. Okay, so you can see what we're talking about how quick it is to do something like that. And we're looking really for your opinion. You're going into one of these places, like for instance, when we go to the British Museum, one of the things that you're going to see in the British Museum, there are two things that are pretty spectacular. The first of them is the actual Rosetta Stone. Have you seen all the television commercials about how you're going to learn a language using Rosetta Stone? Okay, the Rosetta Stone, up until the Battle of the Nile between the Napoleon French forces and the British, 1799. Up until that time, nobody knew for sure what hieroglyphics actually meant. Everything was guessing up until about 225 years ago. It's amazing. The British and the French, they're getting ready for this battle. And it was the French that moved, they were trying to dig a trench, and they found this stone. It's about this big, and it's two different forms of hieroglyphics in Greek. So if you know one, if you know the Greek, you can figure out the hieroglyphics from there. And from that, it took them a long time, but they then figured out what exactly all of the history of Egypt really was. And so the Rosetta Stone is in the British Museum. And if you think about that for a minute, your impression of that, how does it affect you when you're looking at something like that? Second thing you're going to see in the British Museum are what are called the Elgin Marbles. Okay, so if you think about any picture you've ever seen of Athens, okay, Greek cities are divided into two parts, the high part, the low part. The high part is the Acropolis, meaning the high part, right? So if you have a fear of heights, you have acrophobia, right? So it's the highest part. And what do they put on the highest part? The temples. And the Acropolis, the one we call the Acropolis, is in Athens. This is where the Parthenon is. Big, rectangular Greek temple with all this spectacular sculpture. Lord Elgin, British guy, goes to Athens, chips off all of this incredible sculpture, crates up the whole thing, ships it back to London. Okay, this is several hundred years ago. The Greeks are pissed. They want it back. But what you're going to get to see, now the way the sculptures work, it's a rectangle like this, and there's relief sculpture that faces outward like this, and then on the two ends, statuary sculpture also facing outward. What they've done is they put you in a rectangular room and they flipped everything around. So instead of the relief sculpture going this way, it's going inward. And instead of the sculptures going outward, they're going inward like this. Some of the best Greek sculpture in the world. Now the Greeks want it back, but the Brits are saying, we're not giving it back, because that Greek sculpture, the original democracies, the roots of Western society, that's us here in the US. The roots of Western society go all the way back to Egypt, including the Greeks, the Romans. This is our history too. It's not just the Greeks. It's ours too, and we're preserving it for everybody. So they actually built a museum initially, the British Museum, initially to house the Elgin Marbles. Now, because the Brits aren't going to give them back, guess how much money it costs to go to see the Elgin Marbles in London, to get into the British Museum? It's free. Because the Brits are saying, no, we're preserving this for all of humanity, and everybody gets it for free. The Greeks are still saying, too bad, it's our culture, it needs to come back here. Now these are all things that you can talk about when you're in that particular space. So when you're looking at these videos, really think about something that you may actually want to say that maybe your parents might want to see, might want to hear you say. You have any questions about this? Yeah?
Like, I know, like, on some of the little nameplates, it doesn't have, like, a ton of information, but, like, so what if, like...
You're going to have to do some research. A little bit of Google research, yeah.
And I'm going to give you a bunch of stuff, too.
Also, can we, like, research pieces before we go?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If you have a favorite, of course, go do it. Go. I mean, we are probably not going to recommend that you do the Mona Lisa because there's a big crowd around the Mona Lisa. Just take a picture and walk by. but there's going to be some that you fall in love with. So feel free, and I encourage you to do those. And then just do a little Google research on it so you can answer all those questions. And remember, your friends and family back home are going to love this. They're going to love seeing all this, yeah.
So just to be clear, security guards will get fined with us filming the art.
In some rooms, yes. In some rooms, no. So make sure you check.
You can always just ask.
You can ask the guy standing there in the suit. And most of them, yes. No flashes for most of them,
right.
But most of them, yes, you can.
Churches are going to get really uptight about you taking any kind of pictures or video inside the churches, but the museums are pretty cool about it.
Yeah.
But you can do it outside the church.
Yeah, outside the church. Not in your dorm room.
Is it required that, like, do you want us to have a piece of art in the video?
Yes, so we're going to go over the requirements. I'll show you where to find those. So on Tracks, the Let's Go site, you see under resources, I put the emergency action plan. We've already talked about that, but it's there for you in case you need it. Pre-departure info's there. And for our class, for the fine arts component of your program, it's also going to be on this site. I think the communications component is, I think they're going to do their own site. But for the fine arts, we're going to put everything on this same site. So if you open fine arts, you're going to see the materials here. So here's the syllabus. And then I'll show you the Masterworks because we do have a couple of things from Masterworks. So the syllabus has the dates and the course description, your materials, the passport, all that stuff. But laptop we recommend, and then your phone, the battery, 45% attendance, 45% assignments, and then final exam, which is a take-home exam. And here are the dates, and that's the stuff you kind of already know about because you're already here. No textbook required. All right, now let's go to the Masterworks. Let's see if I can find it. And then for the honors guys, you have to do an extra paper. We'll talk about that. Dr. Shulo will talk about that extra paper.
And it's fine if you're doing a video. If we had done a second video, like the one you saw, and we had just traded roles, where I'm doing a video and she's doing all the talking and I'm asking all the questions, that would be totally fine.
Okay, it's for the Masterworks reports. These are the requirements for your reports. They must be presented on your YouTube channel. You cannot just email us. So each of you is going to have a YouTube channel, and we're going to go to that channel and make sure all 45 of your videos are on your channel, okay? Make sure the video is complete. Don't do one video in multiple parts. That's not going to work. 2 to 5 minutes in length. If it's under 2 minutes, it's okay. It's not a big deal. Complete video. The narration must be your voice. It must be at the work or at the site. Video images must be original. You cannot just post in Venus de Milo later on. It has to, if you can get the real Venus de Milo and your face in there, do that. Close-up of the defining characteristics of the work. You need to do a close-up of that work. The video must show your face for at least a few seconds, okay? The educational content must be completed in full. You have to answer all of those questions. It will require a little bit of Google work. And then 15 London, 15 Paris, and then 15 self-study, or you can divide that up into London and Paris. And that's the educational content, and then all the checklist that we've included in your survival guide. The self-study, for those of you traveling on, if you have a museum that's in your future in Europe and you want to do that, that's fine for self-study as well. Or if you want to come back here and do the Blanton or go to the McNay in San Antonio. It's not quite the same as London and Paris, but it would work.
It's been a couple of years since I was in London, so things may have actually changed. But the last time I was in London, getting free Wi-Fi was difficult. Paid Wi-Fi, there are all kinds of places you can do it. I would recommend that when you go to the Track site, that everything you can possibly download and put onto your computer or onto your smartphone, do it. That's what I'm planning to do, so that when we get back to the hotel where there is going to be Wi-Fi, you can then upload things. But when you're out, you don't want to have to rely on being connected.
Yes, the hostel will have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So if the artwork is a music performance, you should not record during the performance. You should not record your.
But intermission is great, and the lobbies of these places is amazing.
Right beforehand.
Right beforehand, if it's or before the group starts, and you can take a little photo, maybe you can put that photo in your video. Be creative with that. Yeah, but you don't want to be doing it during, of course, during a performance, during the opera or symphony performance.
Since my guess is not everybody in the room is a music major, is that correct? Yeah. So when you get into this, it can be difficult to come up with some kind of a critique about a music performance. So really, talking about your own experience, what does it feel like when you walk into the Royal Opera House in London? When we walk into a big cathedral, what kinds of things are you thinking about when we get into a place for choral evensong, for instance? I mean, St. Paul's Cathedral is just giant in size. And your own perceptions of that without having to say, well, I thought the way they took the Allegro was a little bit brisk. No, we're not really expecting that. We're expecting things more along the lines of, it's a lot of what we're doing is about you experiencing this. And when you sit down later and look at all the specific things we're going to do, this is incredible. I was at the Chancellor's office of the system office in Austin. And so the Chancellor of the Texas State University System was asking me what I was up to, and I told him that I was going to go with all of you, and we're going to London and Paris. And he asked, what were you doing? And I said, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to do this, and we're going to do this. And his response was, you got room for me. Because this is really a pretty packed 2 weeks, and the kinds of things that you're going to get to do. And part of that can fit into your video. Like the Louvre, did you know that the Louvre used to be where the king lived? That was the original palace. Do you know who turned it into a museum? Napoleon. And they had, the king, they had so much money that they had a palace in town, the Louvre, which by the way is the largest art museum in the world and the most visited art museum in the world. And they had a summer home, and we're going to go to the summer home. Do you know what the summer home was? Versailles. I mean, just think about the coin you have to have the Louvre as your main house, the Versailles, that's your summer place. Wow, that's incredible. And so part of your perceptions about how you might compare this to what it means for you as 21st century college students, as 21st century Americans. What does this mean compared to what you're seeing from hundreds of years ago?
You will have to, when you're selecting your works, you will have to do a little bit of research to answer these questions. But this is, I mean, you're seeing some of the greatest artworks in the world. You need to know those things about it. So we're going to help you with some of them along the way. You're going to get some PDFs via TripLoop that will help you with some of the information. Then some of it you'll pick out a piece of art, and you'll have to do just a little bit of Google research so that you can answer those questions. You might want to have a little notebook, and you can write it down and do that. It's not a huge deal, but the more prepared you are going in, the easier it will be to do your videos.
And if it's possible, what we're going to plan to do is right before we go to the opera, like an hour, hour and a half before the opera, we're going to upload something onto TripLoop about the opera.
Yeah.
So that it'll head your focus in that particular direction, so that you're not having to surf through 50 different activities to find the one that we're about to do now. The idea is to kind of help lead you through the entire 2 weeks.
What to be looking for, what to listen for, the highlights of these different locations and performances. Any questions for fine arts component? Yes.
Well, all of the music components, because I see there's 5 or 6 in here, are all of those going to be live performances that we're attending? Okay.
Yeah, very exciting. Yeah, I'm most excited about Royal Ballet. Romeo and Juliet is going to be amazing. Yes?
Yeah, I know if we're taking the international culture class with the communication professor, which is going to be like with the extra essays, is our independent study going to be the same coursework as the Intro to Fine Arts with the... Okay.
Yeah, so everybody has a fine arts and a communications.
Great.
Yeah. Except for the grad students.
There's another question over here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I forgot. What do you mean by historical contribution of the artist?
Like if it, Jacques-Louis David had, he was part of the Reign of Terror, and he was always contributing towards mayhem during the French Revolution. So in that particular case, if you do one of his works, then you might cite that particular information saying that he was contributing to more people dying in the Reign of Terror.
Okay, cool.
So if it sparks some kind of propaganda or had something historically contributed in some way.
Another question.
Yes?
I'm just curious how the videos are going to work inside the museums. Like, presumably they're really busy. Are we supposed to stand in front of the artwork and
Yeah, so you want to be super respectful. That's why I said Mona Lisa, take a selfie with the Mona Lisa just because you're with the Mona Lisa, but it may not be the one you want to do a video with. Because it's a huge crowd, crazy crowd for the Mona Lisa. And that's not my favorite piece of art. So it might be yours, and if that's the case, then you can discreetly do a little video. But you want to be respectful of other members, and maybe some of the ones you do are off.
And just so you know, the Mona Lisa is this big. It's about this big.
And the crowds will be.
And it's in a room this size, and it'll be the only painting in this room, and there will be 50 times as many people as you see in this room right now.
And everybody holding their phones.
And everybody's holding their phones. You need to see the Mona Lisa, you need to take a picture, and then boogie.
Yeah.
Because there are so many other great paintings. I sat in front of a Vermeer painting, one of the Dutch masters, and I was the only person in the gallery. I sat there for a good 20 minutes, the only person staring at this spectacular, as good as the Mona Lisa. But I couldn't even get to see the Mona Lisa, and everybody's talking, and everybody's taking pictures, etc. There are going to be other places in all of these museums where you may have an opportunity to have a special, unique, private moment by not going to the one that everybody else is doing. I have a general rule, that my personal rule about travel is I try to find out where all the Americans are going, and then I go someplace else. You know why? Because I can see Americans at home.
Questions? More questions?
Okay, so about respecting the art and the people around you. What if the room's really quiet and you feel uncomfortable, kind of yelling for a video? Not yelling, but you're projecting so that you can be heard.
So you
what if there's someone else in the room with you and you don't want to disturb?
So your buddy stands close to you and whispers to you, and you do your picture of the art, and then you say, "I'm gonna whisper because it's really quiet in here," and you just talk quietly into your phone.
And then I had one more about Wi-Fi in the area. So you said we have to do Google. What if our Google's not working or?
Well, hopefully your cell plan, you'll have cellular data, and you can still use Google. You can still use those things. And there's also little plaques next to them that will be helpful. And we'll be doing PDFs. So hopefully your Google will work. I mean, we're in big cities.
Yeah. And I am going to send you some information. So, about the Rosetta Stone, I'm going to send you a whole paragraph or more about the Rosetta Stone that will give you enough information that it'll get you headed down that path. We're not expecting you to go on a scavenger hunt every time you go into a museum.
And I think a lot of museums will have Wi-Fi as well.
As far as uploading the YouTube videos, can we upload them as unlisted videos and just provide you the links, or do those need to be public?
If it's unlisted, we won't be able to see it. So if it's private, we can't see it. If it's unlisted, yes, we can see it. We can have the links. So we just need your channel, but we need to make sure we can see it.
Great.
Yeah.
And what I recommend you do is that you go and if you're hitting some museums, that you do 4 or 5 videos today, and then when you get back to the hotel, upload them.
Then upload them.
Right. I think, one of the ideas was with these videos is that those things might also be really cool for your family to see. You
don't have to put it where the whole world can find it, but put it where your family. Send it to your family.
I think you kind of touched base on it, but when it comes to the uploading, does it have to be the same day that you visit, or can you wait a couple days?
You can wait a couple days for requesting that all of the London videos are up by the time we leave London.
Yes.
Since there's a lot of questions that we have to answer and we might need to Google for some more research, is it okay if we have a notebook or something where we write it down and we can read it off of the notebook?
Yeah. And if you and your buddy are doing the same one and working together, that's okay too. It's all right.
Can we upload joint videos?
No, you need your own videos. So that's your voice,
You're the subject of the video.
face, your voice. And then, but if you're, I mean, information is information. And if y'all are sharing information on a work of art, that's okay, but your video needs to be your video.
Cool.
Yeah. Good question. Anything else?
Do we want to, are we still talking course content, or can we move on to something different?
We can move on.
Free days.
Free days. We have optional activity days on Saturday. And we do have a couple rules for those.
Both Saturdays.
Both Saturdays, we do have a couple rules that you keep TripLoop on. So in case you disappear, we can find you and find your phone at least. And that you stay in the country. Don't get on a train that goes out of the country. And what else? What's the other?
So when we have our last day in London, at this point, you will have had a considerable amount of experience with the tube. And you should be able to navigate the city pretty well. And you may have noticed a few things that you really like. And you might say, you know, I really love the Tate Modern. I want to go back to the Tate Modern and I want to spend more time at that museum. You may say, I love everybody else in my class, but I need to get out of here and spend some time on my own.
But you gotta find a buddy.
But you gotta find a buddy. But you don't have to tell us what you're gonna do. In addition to that though, we're also planning to do specific things on some of those days in case anybody wants to come with us. Like for instance, if there's anybody that wants to go, I'm willing to go out to Hampton Court. Hampton Court Palace is the summer home of the King of England. It was built during the Renaissance and then updated by Christopher Wren. You gotta take a train out there. It's a beautiful place, great place to go for a picnic, etc. We're also thinking that it's probably a good idea for us to think about a couple of free activities that you could do in case you don't want to spend any money on those days. For some of you, you may want to consider, I heard somebody, Dr. Burns was saying something about somebody had already booked a tour of Wimbledon, which sounds pretty cool. Anybody do that already?
Yeah.
So that sounds like a pretty cool thing to do. So there may be some things that you want to do. I think is there a Harry Potter tour?
There's a Harry Potter, but you need to book that in advance. If you want to do Moulin Rouge, you need to book that in advance. I'm thinking about doing a graffiti street art tour. It'd be free. If someone wants to do that, I will give you information about what time I'm departing the hostel on that morning.
The London,
it'd be like a Banksy tour.
The London Eye, which is the big Ferris wheel, is a pretty cool thing to do, but you need to get tickets for those, and they go at specific times, and you can buy those tickets in advance. And then we're going to do something similar also in Paris on that last day. You're free to do, you don't have to do anything with us, but we're also willing to to help lead if people want to do that.
If you want to stay in the dorm and read a book, we're not going to tell you you can't, but you spend an arm and a leg getting there. Get there and enjoy it, embrace it, do everything you can. Squeeze every last penny out of this trip is my recommendation to you. Don't be cheap, enjoy it, because you don't know when you're going back.
And anytime you have any questions or you're looking for a recommendation about, hey, you know, I just really want to have fill in the blank kind of experience, ask us. There's a good chance that we might be able to give you an idea of something to do. Like for instance, not on our list of activities is the British Library. And inside the British Library is the Magna Carta, which can be kind of a cool thing to do. I didn't think it was that great when I was like, that's it? But if you're a Magna Carta fan, okay, I know a good Italian restaurant down the street, you know.
I wanted to say, come back to course content. So those of you who take the Fine Arts course as an honors course need to do the same thing that was discussed earlier and write a paper. It's just, you don't have to be an honor student, but you're required to fulfill the honors requirements, which includes writing. So we ask you to write a research paper, and it doesn't have to be super long. In fact, I'm never a fan of giving like a minimum page number. When I teach a course, honors course here on campus, they're usually anywhere between 8 and 20 pages long or so, but it doesn't have to be that long. You can choose an artwork and from any of the arts and do some research on it. I will send an email out directing you to some library resources where you can search in databases for refereed journal articles or so, refereed research where you can read up on an artwork. If you think you can't write several pages on one particular artwork, you can choose several and write a little less. But it needs to be a bit more extensive than what's in your short video. And it needs to adhere to scholarly work. Of course, you have to write nicely and you have to do some references of some sort. So there needs to be some kind of scholarly source in there. And so I'd be happy to guide you, and I'll email you some more directions. Are there any questions on that part? Yes.
Go ahead, Donovan.
No, I wanted to ask, how many are taking the Fine Arts Emphasis course as an honors course? We have quite a few, yeah. So, anyways, if there are any questions.
And if you don't know, you can just come see us. We have it listed
Mine's
out.
a completely different topic.
Okay. Any questions on the honors courses with the Fine Arts Emphasis? Yes.
Is the honors for called the same length?
Oh, how long is the paper?
That's.
I don't know. We're meeting Wednesday to finalize. We'll let you know after that. So.
Good. Just email us if you have any.
Okay. The only other thing, which is totally kind of off topic, there is an issue with the last episode of Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Okay, who's a Game of Thrones fan?
Everyone.
Okay, so you're actually going to be in London when the last episode comes on. You'll get to London early. It's going to be the middle of the night after you're like 2 a.m. after you're completely jet lagged. So we're talking about how you can kind of figure out how to maybe get access to it, but probably not at 2 o'clock in the morning. You're going to be really exhausted. So you might need to stay off of social media and see if we can watch it at breakfast. But we're looking at a couple of different ways to do it where maybe you can log into HBO in the US. There's a website, I'm not kidding, this is really the name of the website. It's called hidemyass.com. And what you do is you log in that country, and that server logs you in the US. So that if you then access HBO, it thinks you're in the United States, because you can't access HBO just anywhere.
It's a VPN, and in fact, you can even sign up with you can sign up for a trial period for a VPN software, and like I watch German TV frequently, and some of those are not. Some of those you can only watch in Germany, so I have to do a VPN connection to Germany, and it works just quite nicely.
So, but we are aware of the issues, all I'm saying.
Any travel questions?
Yeah.
All right, so we're working on room assignments. Those will be coming out via email. We're going to go ahead and do group assignments via email as well. Those A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H assignments, and that'll be your group, and you'll meet your group once we're there. If you have not got a T-shirt, we need to make sure that you have a T-shirt for you. The T-shirt that you cannot wear in your and a bag. So T-shirt and a bag before you leave. Anything else? All right. See you guys in London. Woo! Thanks for coming.
Oh, what's the sign-in sheet?
Oh, sign-in sheet?
Do you know about your registration? Oh, really? Yeah. And so,
Okay, so okay, so that's
the way this, you're registered for 6 hours. But we probably run it for 3 hours. So